certainly talk about him. The weather is actually, somewhat balmy, if you will, for Columbia this time of year. For the last couple of weeks, we've been hitting 100 degrees. It's only 85 here in Columbia, South Carolina. That's a pretty low humidity for the capital city. And the Gamecocks getting ready to kick this one off. Actually, it'll be the Ragin' Cajuns kicking off. South Carolina winning the toss. Steve Spurrier electing to receive. It'll be Captain Munnerlyn and Mike West back for the Gamecocks. And I tell you what, with the upsets that we've already seen this Saturday, Brad, nobody's going to take anybody for granted the rest of this Saturday night.
Oh, exactly. I think everybody's a little bit nervous about some of these teams that you don't necessarily hear about the big upset early. But of course, the series history, South Carolina had a nail-biter the last time these two teams played back in 2003, came out with the 14-7 victory.
Yeah, the Gamecocks were a big favorite in that one too, and kind of sleptwalked for the first three quarters before finally winning it. So the Ragin' Cajuns will try to get their first ever victory against an SEC team. They're 0-47. The Gamecocks trying to make a statement here as they get ready for a huge ball game next week in Athens against the Georgia Bulldogs. The kicker for the Ragin' Cajuns is Drew Edmiston, a 6'4", 195-pound sophomore out of Oklahoma. He was first team All-Sun Belt a year ago. Great crowd on hand, ready to be ignited with a big play on special teams, which hasn't happened in a while. Munnerlyn fields it at the 10, takes it up the middle, sheds a tackler at the 30, pushes forward to the 36-yard line. It'll be good field position for the Gamecocks, a 26-yard return for the sophomore out of Mobile, Alabama, Jason Cherry on the tackle.
Good return to start for the Gamecocks and Chris Smelly. Of course, you'd like your new quarterback to be there in good field position and not have too much pressure deep in his own end.
Chris Smelly, number 7, a redshirt freshman out of Tuscaloosa, Alabama. The numbers last year, again, he only threw 15 passes, did not make any mistakes, but obviously a little bit more butterflies in that young man's body. His first career start, it's at home, and everybody looking on wondering just how good is this young man. We'll find out some of those answers tonight. First give is to Corey Boyd, trying to break it outside, now cuts it back up inside, past the marker, a gain of 12 as Corey Boyd, the senior out of Orange, New Jersey, trying to start off the season in fine fashion. He's got 12 yards on that run.
Well, he was averaging nearly 5 yards per carry last season, off to a good start in his first carry, got a good block up front, and was able to bounce off a couple of tacklers as he did most of last season.
Corey Boyd and Leonard Stafford, the two backs. Stafford yet to get a career carry. You know what he's in there for. It's the block. Kenny McKinley and Mo Brown are the receivers. You see McKinley, bottom of your screen, he's working the slot. Smelly looking over the middle. It is complete to the tight end. That's Andy Boyd, who is bounced down at about the 19-yard line. Andy Boyd in his 6th year with a 33-yard reception out of Concord, North Carolina. It's a young man that had to fight, win an appeal. He gets hurt, it seems like, every year, but he wants to be in the lineup.
And Andy Boyd, as you said, in his 6th year of eligibility, it's only his 5th reception of his career, just found the soft spot in the zone, drops in there, picks up a first down. He was averaging 23 yards per catch in his career.
Scooter Rogers on the tackle. Boyd just running right down the seam and was wide open. Smelly delivers the pass. 33 yards on the hookup. Smelly looking again. Hit as he throws, and it will be an incomplete pass. Arm ruled in motion. Smelly lost his helmet on the play, but a great pass rush there by Sanders of the Ragin' Cajuns. Starting offense for the Gamecocks. Again, the offensive line, this is going to be a question mark. You can rely on Meredith and Sorensen, but up the middle, Anderson, Brown, and Jean-Pierre, that's going to be the question mark. The backs, Boyd, the fullback Stafford, we just saw Boyd, McKinley, and Mo Brown now in his sophomore campaign. Jared Cook enters the game for the Gamecocks. He's up top at the tight end position. Smelly, stretch handoff to Boyd, left side, cuts back at the 15, muscling forward to the 11. Brenton Burkhalter on the stop. Starting defensive lineup for the Ragin' Cajuns. That won't be those guys, but it will be a unit led by Terrell Richardson, number 42 out of Pensacola, Florida. Went to the same high school as one Emmett Smith. Their secondary is suspect, but they have a lot of confidence in their front seven. 3rd down and 2. Smelly working under center. I formation behind him. Man in motion is McKinley. It'll be Boyd. Jitterbugging up the middle. Now pushing the pile, and it's going to be right near the marker. Hardaway in on the tackle. And Corey Boyd loses his helmet. So 2 lost helmets here in the opening 2 minutes of the game. There's Hardaway on that starting defensive line for the Raging Cajuns alongside Raymond, Williams, and Richardson. Burkhalter, the linebacker to look out for. He's the man in the middle for the Raging Cajuns. A young secondary, Jones, Morgan, Blunt, and Rogers. They will be tested early and often. Boyd gets the 1st down yardage. 1st and goal now from the 9. Smelly looking to pass, fires, quick slant to McKinley. Pass might have been deflected. It falls incomplete. Mark Risher deflecting it.
And reading it very well, reading the slant on the inside and not allowing that quick touchdown pass for Smelly.
So it'll be 2nd down and goal. Mike Davis checks into the game, the sophomore out of Columbia High School to be exact. Kenny McKinley stays in. Andy Boyd manning the tight end spot. Mo Brown at the top of your screen. McKinley in motion, 2nd and goal. Smelly takes his time at the line of scrimmage. 7-step drop, flag on the play, rolls out right, fires complete to McKinley, who spins at the 5 and is dragged forward to about the 3. But there's a hanky all the way on the far sideline at the line of scrimmage.
We'll check the penalty. Looked like good pressure there in the inside from LaQuincy Adams. Defensive tackle for the Raging Cajuns, able to bust through there. Mentioned that revamped offensive line, unable to give good protection there, and it was Adams coming through and pressuring Smelly. Did a good job to get that ball off to McKinley.
Well, Quincy Williams also came free up the middle. That is the big concern coming in the interior of that line.
Defense, number 97, 5 yards, 1st down.
So the penalty is on Lafayette, and obviously a big one. Gamecocks will move up half the distance here. And it will be 2nd down and goal from the 4-yard line. 2nd down and goal, Gamecocks trying to strike first. Carolina offensively the last few years has kind of started off slow out of the gate and then picked up steam the middle of the year before finishing strong at the end of the year. Steve Spurrier saying, look, we don't want to wait 5 games to get it going. We want to get it going right away.
They can't afford to if they're going to compete for an SEC title.
Absolutely. 2nd and goal. Davis, the deep back. Quick drop by Smelly. Fires. That's going to be a flag. Easy holding penalty. Freddie Brown beat his man, Jarrett Jones, number 2, and all he could do was hold on for dear life.
Looked like a little crisscross pattern inside. We get 2 receivers in the same area crossing out the defenders, and yeah, Jarrett Jones, you'll see, will be all over him, and it's an easy call there.
The ball will be placed at the 2-yard line. Automatic, 1st down.
Well, now the Gamecocks in terrific shape. 1st and goal from the 2. Davis will stay in along with Stafford here. This is the kind of situation where you'd like to have enough confidence to muscle it in. Gut this one up the middle. Let that offensive line create some holes for you. Smelly instead going to look to pass. Throws back in the end zone. Wide open is the tight end, Andy Boyd. Andy Boyd with his 5th career reception. 4 touchdowns for Andy Boyd.
Well, he doesn't catch it a lot, but when he does, it put points on the board for South Carolina. Good block up front by the running back. I believe it was Mike Davis, giving Smelly an extra second to release the pass.
So Andy Boyd with 2 receptions on the drive. And Andy Boyd now with 6 career catches. And again, that is his 4th career touchdown. So pretty hard to beat that ratio. The extra point by Ryan Suckup, who is just about automatic, is true. So 7-0 in less than 3 minutes time. The Gamecocks take the lead, and we're back in just a moment. Back to Williams-Brice Stadium. The Gamecocks striking first, 7-0 on a drive which took less than 3 minutes time. Gamecocks will now kick it off. That's exactly the kind of drive that Steve Spurrier wants to see. 7 plays, 64 yards, 2 minutes, 56 seconds off the clock. And Smelly to Andy Boyd, not Corey Boyd. Corey Boyd with his 4th career touchdown reception, the senior out of Concord, North Carolina. Suckup kicking it off from the 30, and look at that. 5 yards deep into the end zone. Remember, they changed the rule. People not expecting as many touchbacks, but Suckup hit that one about 75 yards in the air. So the Ragin' Cajuns will take over at the 20. Louisiana Lafayette, a new quarterback this year, Michael Desmoreau. He's not a new player to the team. He's actually in his junior season, 6'2", 200-pounder. There you see him, number 6. But he has mainly played wide receiver, defensive back, and special teams. Now he's the quarterback. He'll do a lot of running tonight. Carolina showing a 4-man front. There's a little bubble screen caught at the 20 and tackled shortly thereafter by Casper Brinkley. Derek Smith on the reception.
Yeah, they tried to run the little pick inside to free him up on the wide receiver screen, but the defensive front for Carolina, the linebackers, able to get there quickly.
Starting offensive line for the Ragin' Cajuns. Pirtle, one of the anchors of that unit. Fenroy, we outlined him in the open, one of the better backs. First team all Sun Belt. He's got a chance to break just about every school record when it comes to rushing. Here's a little bit of an end-around play. And tripped up is Jason Cherry, the junior out of Delray Beach, Florida. Starting defense for the Gamecocks. This is a unit that has everybody excited. Norwood, who had 7 sacks a year ago. Marquis Hall back from injury. Travian Robertson, the true freshman out of Laurinburg, North Carolina. This is the strength of the team right now. Pauk and the Brinkley brothers at the linebacking core. And Captain Munnerlin going to try to anchor that secondary. It's a 3rd down and 3. Man in motion is Cherry. From the shotgun, Desmoreau, the lefty, fires, and it is immediately broken up. Cherry was pelted on the attempted reception. Mike West delivering a blow.
And again, good coverage by the Gamecocks. A lot of crisscross patterns there in the flat. They tried to flood that zone, but the Gamecocks read it well.
Though the Ragin' Cajuns will be forced to punt the football. A 3 and out. Exactly what Tyrone Nixon company were looking for. Captain Munnerlin, he's got double duty, triple duty if you include playing defensive back. He's going to return kickoffs and punts tonight. 4.35 40. The fastest guy on the team, although Culver might give him a run for his money, the true freshman. Punt off the side of the foot and out of bounds at midfield. 22-yard punt. Not a great effort from Spencer Ortego, the freshman. So the Gamecocks will have great field position with 10:57 to go in the first quarter. Already leading it 7-0.
And it looks like Coach Spurrier is already going to the bullpen in the second series. He's bringing in the other quarterback, Tommy Beecher.
Well, he said all week he was going to play both. We didn't realize it would be this soon for Beecher. Sophomore out of Concord, North Carolina. He's only played in 3 games. He's 2 of 2 with a touchdown, so his quarterback rating's over 300. Not too many attempts, obviously. Beecher flushed out of the pocket, going to tuck it and run. 45, 40, and out of bounds. And a bone-crushing block delivered by Corey Boyd. He absolutely teed off.
Let's get a look at Tommy Beecher in his first play. Makes the smart play, doesn't throw the ball into coverage. Saw a little lane and was able to find some running room. And you're right, a great block upcoming here from Corey Boyd as he just decleated the defender. You watch, you see, picks up the hole on the right side, gets a good hole, and there's the block by Boyd there on the end that frees him up for the first down.
First down and 10 from the 39. I formation. Hand off to Boyd. Trying to break a tackle, he does, and then leaps forward for a modest gain of about 2. He's lucky not to have a loss on that. With a nice second effort there by Corey Boyd. Corey Raymond in the backfield. Raymond led the team last year with 3 blocked kicks. He's a 6'4", 290-pound senior. He finished with 35 tackles. and at LaPlace, Louisiana. Kenny McKinley, Freddie Brown lined up at the top of your screen, the two receivers. Boyd, the deep back. Beecher, play action, has time, fires over the middle, has a man, in and out of the hands of Kenny McKinley. Got behind the secondary, but couldn't hold on to the football.
Just missed him by a half a step, and maybe that'll take some time when you have these young quarterbacks working with a veteran receiver. We'll take a look at it as he's looking for McKinley, and why not? He's the top returning receiver for the Gamecocks. Gets a little air underneath it, gets behind the safety Blunt, but just overthrows him. Otherwise, it's another 6. Good play action there by Beecher. And just missed his man. Did get hit, but he was back up okay.
That was Hall Davis providing the pressure. Now the Gamecocks going 3 wide. McKinley, Mo Brown, and Freddie Brown. Jared Cook also in the game at tight end. Beecher will work from the gun. Plenty of time on the play clock. Beecher now gets the snap. Lafayette blitzing. Throw over the middle. Complete. That's Jared Cook. Cook trying to fight forward. He does. Past the 20 to the 19-yard line. And there is the much talked about tight end Jared Cook, a sophomore out of Sewanee, Georgia. 19 yards on the hookup. He came to Carolina as a wide receiver. He's turned into a tight end. And
good job, good coverage actually by Jared Jones. Had good coverage on him, but at 6'5", Jared Cook's is going to have a little bit of reach on most of these defenders for the Ragin' Cajuns.
Steve Spurrier saying throughout fall camp, we will throw to the tight end more than in the past. There is a couple of examples already. Now Beecher, corner route, McKinley, touchdown! Late signal, but it is a touchdown for Kenny McKinley. Quarantined on the left side, 19 yards, and the Gamecocks with their second touchdown of the night with 9:33 to go in the first quarter.
It's like a blown coverage there by Garen Blunt, the free safety for the Ragin' Cajuns. Was matched up with him, released him, and maybe expecting some safety help to the outside. It never came.
Each quarterback with a touchdown pass. First Smelly, now Beecher, and Suckup will try to make it 2 for 2. He does. So Gamecocks pitching a perfect game right now. 2 perfect drives, a 3-and-out defensively. Not much more you can ask for here through the first 5.5 minutes or so. Kenny McKinley, the junior now out of Mableton, Georgia. 51 catches a year ago. He had 5 scores. Here's his first of the year.
And a good setup there as you see. Release to the outside. Garen's by himself. McKinley makes a nice catch, does a great job to stay in bounds. No help with the safeties coming over. And it's 6 more for the Gamecocks.
Nifty footwork there by McKinley. 6 feet, 184 pounds. Going to be a lot of pressure on him this year. There is no Sidney Rice to draw double teams. Kenny McKinley will draw a number of double teams. And he says he's ready to step it up and be the primary guy in this Gamecock passing game. Now, Steve Spurrier, the perfectionist, I don't even think he could complain about anything thus far, Brad.
Well, so far, you've got to like the way his 2 young quarterbacks have performed. Granted, the Gamecock special teams and defense helped him out, of course, giving the quarterbacks good field position in both of the first 2 drives. It opens up the playbook a little bit for both quarterbacks. Saw a couple of runs in the first series, went to the air a little more this second drive with Beecher, and comes up with touchdowns on both drives. So a good start for South Carolina. Louisiana Lafayette has to find a way to answer.
5 plays, 50 yards, a minute 25 off the clock, culminated by the Beecher to McKinley touchdown connection, 19 yards through the air. So I guess the question now becomes, who gets to anchor the next drive? Do they go back to Smelly for drive number 3?
Well, you had spoken about how Coach Spurrier said whoever plays the best will get most of the snaps in the second half. Well, you can tell both these quarterbacks want to play in the second half.
Yeah, I think it's a tie so far. Nobody has a flaw yet on their resume thus far tonight. So Ryan Suckup, if the early going is any indication, he might have a busy night with kickoffs. He hit the first one 75 yards. We should point out there's very little wind here tonight. So if Suckup is able to crush one like he did last time, that is by no means evidence of any wind here tonight. That's just how strong his leg is. 6'2", 213-pound junior out of Hickory, North Carolina, a Lou Groza candidate. He was second team All-SEC a year ago. 14-0 Carolina. This one has a chance at the end zone as well. Not quite as deep, and he's going to return it to the 10, 15, and a penalty flag as he's upended at about the 16-yard line.
Yeah, have a block in the back there right around the 14-yard line. Right in front of the side judge there.
We'll get the official word from the Zebras here in just a moment. Almost certainly is going to go against Lafayette, so they'll have poor field position. Mike West was in on the tackle.
Number 96, half the distance to goal, first down.
That's our referee, Ken Williamson. Last year you had all the rule changes and a lot of shoddy play in week one, a lot of offenses having trouble getting the snap off. Most of those rules have been eradicated completely. The only significant change is that, again, they're kicking off from the 30, but we can go back to playing college football the way it was intended to be played, which is not in a hurry as if we need to speed things up. I don't think any of the people here are complaining about sitting down and enjoying the action for 3 hours. Lafayette backed up at their own 6-yard line. Desmero takes it himself, turns the corner, and is pushed out of bounds a yard shy of the marker. Captain Munnerlin there to meet him. Pretty good play fake there. The entire Gamecock defensive line bit on that one.
Yeah, they certainly did. In fact, yeah, they had the tailback down a couple of yards behind the line of scrimmage. Everybody fooled, and Desmo's the kind of guy that's going to make a lot of plays with his legs, not just his arm.
And we're going to see a lot of this tonight. A lot of no-huddle offense. Desmero without the huddle from the shotgun. Here's Fenroy trying to get something between the tackles and can't get anything. Stacked up by Jonathan Williams, the junior out of Augusta, Georgia, one of the newcomers to this defensive line. That's going to be a busy man, Tyrell Fenroy, and that is not a good shot right there. No. Jasper Brinkley, he's got a high ankle sprain. You always get nervous when you hear those 3 words, and already he's got ice on him.
Yeah, he was first team All-SEC last year. He's a candidate for just about every major award this year. Can't afford to lose him.
Vanderell Shackelford in the game for the injured Jasper Brinkley. Here on a 3rd and short. And I don't know. I don't think he's got it. Brandon Isaac. Good pursuit there from the safety position.
Did a good job of reading that option play. We saw the Gamecocks get fooled on that a couple of plays ago for about a 9-yard gain, but Isaac spying the quarterback. Someone's going to have to spy Desmo all afternoon for the Gamecocks, as he's going to take off a lot.
Yeah, they're bringing out the chains, and granted, we don't have the best angle in the world, but he looks to be short from here. Umpire will stretch it out, and there you see, inches. Less than a foot. You'd have to be awfully gutsy here to go for it if you're Ricky Bussell. I'm quite confident he'll bring the punting unit out, and he will. So the Raging Cajuns unable to capitalize. Raging Cajuns still looking for a first down. The Gamecocks already with 7. The punter is Tyler Albrecht, and he is also a freshman. A little bit of a high snap, gets it off. Spiraling kick, Munnerlin will let it bounce. It takes a Lafayette bounce, and now he's got to get out of the way. And when it's all said and done, this one will turn out pretty well for the Raging Cajuns. 56 yards on the punt, and it will be Chris Smelly anchoring drive number 3 with the Gamecocks leading it 14-0. Little more than 8 minutes left to go in the first quarter, and if you joined us late, it's been all Gamecocks. Chris Smelly, who led the Gamecock attack to a touchdown on the first drive. Then Tommy Beecher on the second. Now it's back to Smelly on the third. Staggered eye look for Steve Spurrier's offense. Two receivers to the near side. Smelly has time. Now he goes down, not quite that much time, as he does go down and takes the loss on the play. LaQuincy Williams in on the sack.
Protection broke down that time for the Gamecocks. He did have, looked like his tight end open just across the line of scrimmage, but Smelly had his eyes on the big defensive lineman coming after him.
Chris Smelly off to a solid start, 2 of 4, 35 yards and a touchdown. First sack of the game. Second down and 15 now. Smelly hands it off to Davis. A lot of room left side. Davis punishing hit by Davis on the Lafayette defender, and he bounces off like a pinball, stretches out, and he's past the first down marker. 16 yards.
And Mike Davis packs a lot of punch in that little 5'9" frame, 212 pounds for the junior. Averaged nearly 5 yards per carry last year. Is kind of the 2-punch to the 1-2 punch with Corey Boyd, and he shows why he's in there now.
Mike Davis not to be overlooked. Corey Boyd certainly the focal point of this offense, but Mike Davis a solid year in 2006. He's got 11 career touchdowns. Meanwhile, Smelly over the middle again, finding success. That is Freddie Brown, a 6'2" sophomore out of Duncan, South Carolina. Brown out of Burns High School. He had 14 catches last year. They were all in the second half of the season. That one goes for 16 yards.
And again, the tight ends and the receivers finding the short routes, the soft spots in the zone, and making things easy right now for Chris Smelly.
1st and 10 for the Gamecocks. 3-wide formation. Lafayette with a brand new defensive coordinator, still trying to figure things out. Here's another play action. Smelly going for all the marbles. He's got Brown. Instead, it's picked off. Picked off by Jarrett Jones, the senior out of New Orleans, as the intended target, Brown, looked over the wrong shoulder.
That's a first career interception for Jarrett Jones. Take a look at it here. Play action there. The Raging Cajuns don't bite. Looking for the home run ball here. The safety comes over to help out. And just a nice piece of defensive coverage there by Jarrett Jones coming down with the pick.
And give him credit. He read it all the way. Brown really didn't have any separation on that play. Ball was to his right. He looked over the left shoulder, and that made it a rather easy play for Jones. So the first turnover of the night gives the Raging Cajuns the football. Desmarais out of the gun. Quick drop, the lefty. Coxon fires, has a man open down the far sideline and out of bounds near midfield. Number 5 for the Raging Cajuns, that is Jason Cherry. He was second on the team last year in receptions, 28 yards on this hookup.
Take a look at it. Brandon Isaac a little bit late getting over there to help out at safety. He just again finds a soft spot out there. Cornerback releases and he's wide open, makes a nice spinning around catch.
But they'll bring it back, a penalty flag in the backfield, as we'll get the call momentarily. So the biggest play of the night thus far for Lafayette on offense.
Holding on the offense, number 75, 10 yards, previous spot, big first down.
Well, that is Brad Bussell, and he's going to hear it not only from his head coach, but from his father at the same time. He is indeed the coach's son, played 11 games last year. And, you know, there's always added pressure when you're the coach's son. It's almost as if you're expected to do everything perfectly, but not on that occasion. So back him up 10, first down and 20. Running for his life is Desmarais there. Pickup of about 9 before Cliff Matthews. Cliff Matthews, the freshman, 6'4", 234 pounds, number 83, makes the tackle.
And a good job of just pursuing the play. He didn't give up on it. That was a designed run all the way because the Raging Cajuns were backed up so far, unable to make a big gain out of it.
You're going to hear a lot of new names on this defense tonight. We'll see Clifton Gathers, Cliff Matthews, Laddie Ajaboy, Jonathan Williams we've already mentioned, Kenrick Ellis, just to name a few. Quarterback keeper up the middle, solid gain on 2nd and 12. Nathan Pepper trips him up.
And again, Desmo does a good job running this option for Louisiana Lafayette. He's really fooling the Gamecock defenders. The Gamecocks are always tackling the tailback on these options, which is good, of course, for the Carolina defenders. But Desmo's always finding the hole going the other way. He's done that about 3 times so far today.
Fenroy, the lone back. You see Trips kind of bunched up to the left, a few feet from the left tackle. Quarterback looks, fires, incomplete. Coverage was there on Jason Cherry. Gerard Sinclair all over him, and maybe too much all over him, as they have thrown a penalty flag here. Sinclair, a sophomore out of Jacksonville, Florida.
May have gotten an arm wrapped around the intended receiver a little bit early. Otherwise, it looked like pretty good coverage. We'll wait till they sort this out.
Pass interference on the defense, number 31. Penalty being enforced from the spot of the foul. Automatic first down.
So the first time we mentioned Sinclair's name tonight, not exactly in a positive light. Pass interference penalty will give the Ragin' Cajuns their first down of the night. It comes via the penalty. First down and 10. Ball spotted at the 28. Gamecock showing a 4-man front. Gave us to the right side. That's Fenroy. Fenroy picks up about 4. It'll set up a 2nd down and 6. Norwood and Robertson, the freshman, in on the stop.
Well, Fenroy a little quiet right now, but the Ragin' Cajuns of Louisiana Lafayette starting to move the football a little bit. Got helped by the penalty. That offensive line getting a little bit of surge now against that big South Carolina defensive line.
Lafayette's going to have a big night from Fenroy if they're going to have any chance at this game. They go back to their go-to back, and he finds the marker right at about the 39. Should have another first down. Travian Robertson trips him up. Fenroy out of LaPlace, Louisiana, St. Charles Catholic High School. He's just 1,085 yards shy of Brian Mitchell's all-time rushing record, and anybody who's followed the NFL remembers Brian Mitchell, one of the best return men in the history of the National Football League. Looks like a penalty there. Azure Boy coming in early. Unless he was drawn, he's got no chance of avoiding a penalty here. Looked like he was trying to go on the snap count.
And Desmo must have mixed things up for Louisiana Lafayette, going on a different cadence this time, and it'll cost the Gamecocks 5.
Offsides. Defense number 91. 5 yards. Remains first down.
There you see Ken Williamson and the rest of his compadres with the officiating crew tonight. A couple of penalties thus far in this game. One on the Gamecocks. That is the 4th infraction on Lafayette. So first down and 5. 4 penalties on Lafayette. I should say that was the first one on Carolina. First down and 5 from the gun again. Desermo flares it out right side, shy of the marker, caught by Fenroy. Captain Munnerlyn wrestles him out of bounds.
Just taking the soft spot again there in the zone. Munderland a little bit late getting there. The cornerback releases over there near the sideline, able to pick up a good gain there, and about a yard shy of the first down.
Soft coverage there by Munnerlyn, allowing an easy pickup for Fenroy. 2nd down and a yard. Ragin' Cajuns with their best drive of the night, trying to get across midfield. They fake the end around. Now the throw coming, and it's caught. Did he stay in bounds or not? Official throws his hat off. He might have stepped out of bounds before the catch. It is out of bounds, so they are not going to gain any yardage on that one. It'll be 3rd down. Interesting play here.
And much of what we expected from Louisiana Lafayette. A lot of misdirection, a lot of misdirection plays just like that. Some options we've already seen earlier. The Gamecocks trying to keep their eye on the quarterback, Desmo.
3rd down.
Levier was the intended target. Cody Wells, the senior linebacker out of Bellevue, Florida, on the coverage. So 3rd down and a yard here. Crowd on their feet. Gamecocks will stack the line. 3:50 and counting to go in the first quarter. Here we go. Quarterback keeper now tosses it on the option And knocked out of bounds is Tyrell Fenroy. He will have the distance. Vanderell Shackelford pushes him out of bounds.
The true option there is you see it a lot of high school and maybe the old Oklahoma Sooner option there. And the Gamecocks did a good job of keying on the quarterback that time, but they forgot about the tailback coming around the outside.
Nice job waiting to the last minute to pitch that football. First down and 10. Ragin' Cajuns trying to mount a successful drive here. Again from the gun. Fenroy. Jitterbug move. Now sheds a tackler at the 40 and muscles forward to the 36-yard line. Gerard Sinclair finally brings him down. Ricky Bussell, the head coach of the Ragin' Cajuns. What a career he's had. Of course, he was here in 1994 under Brad Scott. That was the first year that the Gamecocks ever won a bowl game. And a lot of people thought when Brad Scott was dismissed from Carolina that Ricky Bussell would be the next head coach. A lot of people really fell in love with Ricky Bussell. The job that he did here, he wound up moving around and has found a home in Lafayette as the pass falls incomplete, intended for Jason Cherry.
Keep an eye on Tyrell Fenroy. Went out that last play. Looked like he was banged up a little bit. Ragin' Cajuns can't afford to lose him for very long.
The offense last year for the Ragin' Cajuns, they were 11th nationally in rushing. The problem was they were 114th in passing. Here's a big hole up the middle, and that will be a first down and then some past the 25-yard line. That was the 10th play of this drive, and it was Dion Wallace, the 5'9", 194-pound sophomore out of Houston, Texas.
Wallace, sometimes a forgotten man with Tyrell Fenroy. Only carried the ball 47 times last year, but averaged more than 5 yards per carry.
So first and 10 from the 25. Good field position here for the Ragin' Cajuns. Trying to get on the board, trailing 14-0. Again, out of the gun. Option to the right side. Quarterback holds on to it, and Nathan Pepper, a nice job of tackling him at the ankles and bringing him down for a loss. Nathan Pepper, kind of a quiet guy on this defense. Nobody ever really thinks about him. He had a solid year last year out of Greenville, South Carolina, number 95. Of course, people will remember the Leon Lett move that he had against Clemson. He'll never live that down, but overall, Nathan Pepper has done a fine job at that defensive tackle spot. Here's Fenroy, or Wallace make it. Running to the right side, and Wallace is near the marker. Chris Hampton finally brings him down.
Wallace almost caught back behind the line of scrimmage as the Gamecocks did get good penetration, but Wallace able to elude the tackler here. Onto the dive, he's able to work his way out of that, finds a seam up near the sideline and makes a good gain out of it.
Shackelford also in on the stop. It's third down and less than a yard. They need the 14.5 for the first. Quarterback keeper, and he'll dive forward past the marker. He'll have the first down. Eric Norwood in on the stop, but Desormeaux, again, a great athlete, left-handed quarterback, one of the most versatile players, replacing the longtime starter Jerry Babb, who we saw the last time these two teams met back in 2003. He made the 2005 all-purpose team that the Sun Belt actually produces. Kind of like that category. The SEC doesn't have an all-purpose team. Maybe it's time to put one up. First and 10 from the 15. To the right side, and a nice second effort by Wallace. Boy, he was almost devoured there for a loss. Captain Munnerlyn finally tripping him up, but great second effort by Dion Wallace.
And not too many times you could say great things about a 1-yard run. That should have been a 3 or 4 yard loss. Gamecock defensive line getting some good penetration. Of course, some of the linemen are being released on these option plays, but they've got to finish their tackles.
This will be the 14th play of this drive. They've already amassed 77 yards. Desormeaux has some room, cuts it back over the middle, dives toward the end zone, and he is in there for a touchdown. What a play by the athletic quarterback, the former defensive back and special teamer Michael Desormeaux.
It's his second rushing touchdown. He had a 51-yard run last year. He's dangerous with his legs, as we said, and able to make a great run here, get his team on the scoreboard.
14 yards for Desormeaux, and the Ragin' Cajuns are on the board. Here is the extra point attempted by Edmiston, and it's good. 15 seconds to go in the first quarter, and the Gamecocks leading it 14-7.
On Monday. Remember, 3 touchdowns equals 3 Chick-fil-A. Our scorers here in the South Eastern Conference, Kentucky 24, Eastern Kentucky nothing, and just a second. About 12 minutes to go. Top 25 game final score. Appalachian State 34, Michigan 32. In the first 2 minutes to go, it's Georgia 7, Oklahoma State nothing. Also in the first about 12 minutes to play, Arkansas 3, Troy nothing. The ACC is North Carolina 24, and Madison 7. They're in the second with 8 minutes to play. In the second.
Mike Morgan alongside Brad Muller, back with you here from Columbia, South Carolina, where the Ragin' Cajuns have made things interesting all of a sudden. Michael Desormeaux, the quarterback, a 14-yard touchdown run, a 15-play drive covering 80 yards, 6 minutes and 4 seconds off the clock. And boy, did they ever need that one, Brad.
They certainly did after back-to-back touchdowns. Took advantage of the turnover by the Gamecocks. Long drive aided by a couple of penalties that kept the drive going, but a great job going the full length of the field. They've now rushed for 93 yards in the contest.
And 84 yards rushing on that drive alone. So the lead cut in half. We'll see how the Gamecocks respond here. Kickoff fielded at the 15. Past the 25, near the 29, it's Captain Munnerlyn once again, and Jason Cherry, who's been a busy Ragin' Cajun tonight, in on another tackle. But good field position once again for the Gamecocks, and Chris Smelly will come back out onto the field. We've already seen both quarterbacks, Smelly and Beecher, have each been out there for Steve Spurrier, but it'll be Chris Smelly on this drive.
Both quarterbacks have moved the football, save the one turnover on the interception in the end zone.
9 seconds left to go in the first quarter. Out of the eye, Corey Boyd, the deep back. 2 receivers to the right, and that's where it's going. It's McKinley from the 29, the 35. McKinley squirts out of bounds at about the 38-yard line, and Jared Jones gives the final push to get him out.
Looking for a go-to receiver. Why not Kenny McKinley? He's the best returning receiver the Gamecocks have. Of course, they lose everything. Sidney Rice, who decided
right tackle spot for the whole season. When they mark it off, it's 2nd down and 11. Spot penalty. Smelly, 5-step drop, now flushed out. He's going to tuck it and run. 35, 40, slides safely into the 45-yard line, and that will be a first down as the first quarter comes to an end. Gamecocks 14, Ragin' Cajuns 7, and we're back from Williams-Brice Stadium in just a moment. And we're back. That man a happy camper after an impressive Lafayette drive, making it a 14-7 ball game. The Gamecocks trying to respond here. A 1st and 10 from the Carolina 45. Smelly has time, throws to McKinley, who is immediately popped and dropped after a modest 3-yard gain. Brenton Burkhalter, a junior out of Baton Rouge, on the stop. He led the team last year with 61 tackles.
Kenny McKinley again over the middle on the short reception there. That's where he made a living most of last season, was going over the middle. Tough guy is Kenny McKinley. He can take a lot of punishment.
Yeah, not a big guy, but not afraid to take a hit. And that's half the battle if you're going to be willing to go over the middle. Can't be hearing the footsteps. 2nd down and 7. Back. Hand off left side. Boyd trying to find some running room. Not much there as he's swallowed up at the 50. It'll be 3rd and about 5. Corey Raymond, one of the tacklers for the Ragin' Cajuns.
The way this game started, it looked like Corey Boyd was going to have a couple of 100 yards in the first quarter. His first couple of runs, very impressive. They've bottled him up a little bit. Actually, hasn't had a lot of touches. I think that's just his 5th carry.
Corey Boyd, 5th in the SCC last year with 823 all-purpose yards. 3rd down, make it a short 5. McKinley drops it at midfield. Well, as soon as I say he doesn't hear the footsteps, he heard them there.
May have got a little happy feet there, maybe not so much from the defender, but how wide open he was. He had 2 receivers on the far side there, only 1 defender playing up close. I think Chris Melly read it at the line of scrimmage, audibled. And you look, here makes the quick pass there. He's got a lead blocker in front of him, just forgot to catch the football.
He heard Grant Fleming, number 47, 6'3", 210-pounder, out of Lafayette, Louisiana, which, by the way, is a hotbed for high school football talent. And they love their football there. They really want to get this program to the next level. They've won 11 out of their last 18 games. They're moving into the right direction. Philip Neville's the return man for the Ragin' Cajuns, and timeout called by the Gamecocks. First timeout called here in the first half. Gamecocks leading 14-7. It's never too late to go back to high school every Friday night on CSS with live high school football. Pre-game coverage begins at 7 o'clock Eastern Time, spotlighting high school football from the top schools around the Southeast. Then stay tuned for the live CSS Game of the Week, followed by the post-game show with scores and updates from around the region. Mike Morgan, Brad Muller with you here in Columbia, Williams-Brice Stadium. Glad to have everybody in South Carolina and Louisiana looking on, as well as a national audience via ESPN Game Plan. Gamecocks came out of the gate real early on this one. It was a 14-0 lead within the first 3 minutes of the game, but then a 6-minute and 9-second drive, a 15-play drive by Ricky Bussel's Ragin' Cajuns. Ricky Bussel, well, he's a great story. Of course, he played at Clemson, and then he was a grad assistant at Clemson in 77, 78. And this is the life of a coach. You go from Clemson, then the early 80s, he was at East Carolina. In 83, he was with the USFL's Arizona Wranglers. You remember them, don't you, Brad?
Of course.
93, he was the offensive coordinator for Virginia Tech. Then in 94, came here to Columbia. He was the offensive coordinator for Brad Scott. That team went on to win the first bowl game in school history. That's where he really made his mark as a coach. And then the resume continued to improve from 1995 to 2001. Back at Virginia Tech, he was the offensive coordinator, and all he did there was help develop quarterbacks such as Michael Vick and, remember, Jim Druckenmiller, a former first-round pick of the San Francisco 49ers. And again, a lot of people thought when Brad Scott was let go here that Ricky Bussel might be the next head coach. Of course, some guy by the name of Lou Holtz became the head coach, and the rest, as they say, is history. Now the timeout has expired. South Carolina is ready to punt. Ryan Suckup, who truly does it all in the kicking game, kicks, punts, and also does the kickoffs for the Gamecock special teams. Trying to angle it toward the far sideline, bounces inside the 10, fielded inside the 5. Dangerous play there, and he's pushed out of bounds. That was number 24 for the Ragin' Cajuns, and that is Philip Neville's. Von Benag on the stop, a 46-yard punt.
Outstanding coverage there by the Gamecocks. Even though they missed the first tackle, and a good job by Suckup to put it up in the air. Averaged nearly 44 yards per punt last year. Didn't have to do it a whole lot. Only punted 30 times last season.
Yeah, they certainly hope to have that kind of result this year. Very few punts for Ryan Suckup, who's got his hands full. A lot of people kind of figure, well, how much energy could you actually have to use in kicking and punting? Well, you notice in the NFL, nobody does both. It's a very unique talent to do both, and then you throw in kickoffs as well. Suckup, one of the busier special teams guys in the country. 1st and 10, Ragin' Cajuns early going of the second quarter, and nothing doing. Now he breaks out of the pile and somehow gets a first down. That was Tyrell Fenroy. And it looked like he was smothered near the line of scrimmage. Then all of a sudden he broke free.
Well, it's easy to lose him. You take a look here, all 5'9", 186 pounds. Looked like the quarterback wanted to keep it himself, but Fenroy said, no, give me the ball. Spun off a couple of tackles, keeps his feet, makes a great gain out of it.
Eric Norwood trying to figure out what happened. He had a bear hug on him, and Fenroy somehow got loose. Fenroy 37 yards here in the first half. 1st down and 10, ball spotted, 23-yard line. Desimo running it left side, spin move past the 30 and down at the 33, a gain of 9. Boy, he's got moves that very few quarterbacks you'll see possess.
It's like something out of a movie here, watching Varsity Blues or something. Watch him hurdle some players. You can't make this stuff up. You watch him here, he takes the ball, looks for the hole. He's just picking spots here, hurdles a couple of defenders, bangs into another. It's a tough kid.
He is now the leading rusher in this game, 8 carries for 50 yards. 2nd down, 1 yard to go. Desimo going to give it off to Fenroy. Fenroy breaks a tackle and is down at the 44-yard line. So this offense that Ricky Bussel has implemented with a new offensive coordinator this year right now causing a very young Gamecock defense some fits.
Yeah, exactly. And if you're the Gamecocks, you're a little bit worried because you thought you were going to be strong up front, and they're running through holes right now.
Boy, I counted 2 more broken tackles on that play, and that is not going to make Tyrone Nixon company very happy. Got to wrap up. First down and 10 from the 44. Gamecocks up by 7. Shotgun, 4 wide. The lone back is Fenroy. Desimo on an option play, keeps it himself, breaks that initial tackle again and picks up 5 yards. Azure Boy had a chance at him, the freshman out of Riverdale, Georgia, but once again he couldn't bring him down.
And once again the Gamecock defenders coming up high trying to make tackles. Can't do that against this character, as he just does a good job of shaking them off and they try to grab up around the shoulder pads.
2nd and 5, ball spotted on the 49-yard line. Gamecock defense getting a little frustrated out there. Cliff Matthews into the game, one of several freshmen that we will see tonight. Play clock down to 2. They get it off. Here's the throw. Pass is complete and down at the 35-yard line. He thread the needle there. Number 17 on the reception for Lafayette. That is Jordan Jackson. 6'7", 218 pounds.
Again, soft spot, taking those short corner routes in the inside. They were in a cover 2 that time. The safety a little slow coming inside to cut it off.
16 yards on that hookup. Now it's Fenroy up the middle. Huge hole. Has 10, 15, 20 yards all the way down to the 15-yard line. Well, right now, Lafayette is just taking it to the heart of this Gamecock defense right up the middle.
Yeah, a huge hole on the left side as we watch it again. A little misdirection earlier. This is just a straight up play off the left side and another missed tackle there by the Gamecock defenders.
1st and 10. Gamecocks 4-man front. Desimo hands it off. Another run up the middle. Modest gain this time. And that is Fenroy on the carry. Cliff Matthews along with Jonathan Williams in on the stop.
Of course, these long drives wearing down a little bit on these big defenders. Gamecocks do have the size advantage on the defensive line, but maybe getting a little bit tired here on these 2 long drives.
Well, Lafayette had a 6-minute-plus drive their last time, and mounting another successful drive here. 2nd down and 7. Quarterback keeper spins at the 5, pushes forward, muscling toward the goal line. He's just shy of the end zone. This kid is unbelievable. Michael Desimo. I have seen a lot of great quarterbacks come through here, but with the combination of speed, elusiveness, and power, this guy's got it all.
Watch him again. They spread the field for him. They have 3 receivers split to the far side. He's got a hole right up the middle. Makes one man miss, almost gets in for another touchdown.
Mike West finishing him off right near the goal line. Quick snap and stopped short. Jasper Brinkley, who is back from that ankle injury, stopping the momentum there.
Desimo now with 10 carries, 66 yards, and Louisiana Lafayette 165 yards on the ground.
Here's Tyrone Nix, defensive coordinator. Certainly they've caught his attention. 10th play of this drive. Melvin Ingram into the game for Carolina at linebacker.
This crowd had gotten quiet for a while as they haven't had much to cheer about. Pick it up a little bit here for their defense.
Remember, this drive started at the 11-yard line of Lafayette. Wallace into the game for the Raging Cajuns. Penalty flags all over the place, and this one likely to be moved back, which would be a costly penalty for Ricky Bussel's Raging Cajuns.
Check the penalty if it's against the Raging Cajuns. This doesn't happen too often. In fact, the last 5 or so years, 4 seasons under Coach Ricky Bussel, this is one of the least penalized teams in the country.
Snap infraction, number 79, 5 yards, previous spot, remains 3rd down. Correction, 2nd down.
That's the 2nd time the referee has called the wrong down. He's confusing the heck out of me up here in the booth. It is
timeout.
2nd down.
Lafayette.
It'll be 2nd down and goal from the 6-yard line as the Raging Cajuns burn their first timeout. That incidentally was the 5th penalty against Lafayette. Gamecocks still leading it 14-7, but things getting interesting here in Columbia.
Be sure to visit one of the Carolina Collegiate ATMs located throughout Williams-Brice Stadium.
Second down and goal for the Ragin' Cajuns from the 6-yard line of Carolina. Another long drive for Lafayette. Gamecocks jumped out to a real early 14-0 lead. Looked like this one might be a lapper. Now Lafayette trying to tie it midway through the first half. From the gun, Desimo running right, cuts it back at the 5 and is pummeled down into the ground at the 3-yard line by Ajaboy. Ajaboy is a guy they've got a lot of high hopes for, a freshman out of Riverdale, Georgia. Steve Spurrier raving about him all fall during practice, and I really believe he's going to bring some physicality to that defensive line. Here we go, third down and goal from the 3. And the shotgun. Handoff up the middle, second effort toward the goal line, and touchdown. Touchdown called. A late signal, but it is indeed a touchdown for Lafayette. And this one is about to be tied.
Yeah, it looks like they give it to the fullback who never carries the ball in this system. He's able to pound his way through a couple of tacklers here. It's Robertson, Chancellor Robertson, the junior, had only 1 carry last year. Makes the most of his first carry here in 2007.
You can see his body. That is 6 feet, 252 pounds coming at you up the middle, and certainly the element of surprise working to the favor of the Ragin' Cajuns as the extra point is through. Well, the complexion of this game has changed mightily. 8:46 to go, first half, and we're tied at 14.
For every home South Carolina football game this season, Public Supermarket will select a group of tailgaters to demonstrate the hope the Gamecock spirit in public fun. These tailgaters of the game will receive $100 for the public gift card, courtesy of Public Supermarkets. All day long, choosing Public, we are the game, and you can learn Public, where shopping is a pleasure.
Gamecocks set to receive, tie ball game, 14-all. It's Munnerlin across the 20, the 25, and wrestled down at about the 28-yard line as the Gamecocks now find themselves in a dogfight. And that man obviously very pleased with what has been going on here. 2 long drives, the last one 11 plays, 89 yards, 4 minutes and 38 seconds off the clock. The previous drive was 15 plays, 6 minutes and 9 seconds elapsing off the clock. And if you go back to the last touchdown scored by the Gamecocks since then, Lafayette has rolled up 192 total yards compared to just 52 for Carolina. Chris Culver, the speedster out of North Carolina, into the game. And there he is on the end around, past the 30, the 35, and across the 40-yard line, a first down. Nice way to get your first touch as a collegiate ball player. Chris Culver, the highly touted wide receiver. Steve Spurrier, well, they've got his attention right now. This is what Coach Spurrier is talking about. You've got to be able to put teams away. Carolina had this team down 14-0 early, and now have let the Raging Cajuns back into the game.
Trying to get the crowd back in it with the handoff to Culver, as you talked about. Highly touted out of high school, played offense and defense.
First down and 10. It's still Smelly. He hands it off up the middle. That is Mike Davis. And we've got another helmet on the ground. The third one that's popped off tonight, and it is the helmet of Mike Davis. That'll give him a little face time. I'm sure that's what Mike was thinking about when he loosened up the chin strap. Fred Davis, freshman out of Fort Lauderdale.
You look at the offensive numbers for the Gamecocks. Not bad. They just haven't been on the field in a while after those 2 long drives. They're putting up some good numbers, but not nearly as much as Louisiana Lafayette.
I don't think anybody expected Lafayette to be doubling up Carolina in time of possession here in the first half, but that's exactly what is happening. Again from the shotgun, second down and 7. Quick drop, flares it out left side to Boyd. Boyd turns the corner at the 45, makes a cut, and dances his way to 3 more yards at about the 48-yard line. He'll be roughly 3 yards shy of the marker.
Boyd, a good receiver out of the backfield for the Gamecocks. Had 35 receptions last year. That led all running backs in the Southeastern Conference. Picked up 406 yards and a couple of touchdowns through the air last year.
He's got 81 career receptions coming in, and he's only the 4th player in Gamecock history to rush for 1,000 yards and catch 70 balls. And pretty good company to be in with. Stanley Pritchett, Brandon Bennett, and Harold Green, 3 guys that all played some football at the next level, the National Football League. Third down and short. It's Boyd pushing the pile forward right near the marker. Could be a measurement here. It's going to be one of those right foot and left foot. You see the linesman marking it with his left foot just past midfield. The marker is right at about the 49 of Lafayette. If it's a 4th down, wouldn't you say they go for it here, Brad?
I think so here, with the defense being on the field as long as they have, and you want to show confidence in your offense, you should be able to get, you would think, less than half of a yard if you need to. Playing here at home, you know the crowd wants them to go for it if it's not a first down.
Shane Gang will come out. Our savvy crew of Brian Bennett and Eric the intern saying inches short. Let's see if they are prophets here. Ooh.
Oh.
Few inches. I would be shocked if they don't go for it here. Yeah, Spurrier, I don't even think he thought twice about it. Offense stays out there. Raging Cajun defense coming back out onto the field. Well, you saw the measurement, 4th down and inches. Out of the eye. Quarterback keeper, Smelly, should have it. Needed the 49. Looks like he got that with a few inches to spare and an immediate first down indication.
12th first down for the Gamecocks, and he keeps the clock moving.
So first down and 10 for Chris Smelly and Carolina. Smelly, 6 of 10, 70 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception so far on the night. Redshirt freshman out of Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Saw action in 2 games, but got a medical redshirt with a couple of bad heels. Here's Mike Davis on the dump down pass, and Mike Davis weaving his way past the 35 and down at the 33-yard line of Lafayette.
Now Louisiana Lafayette doing a good job locking up on these receivers right now for South Carolina. If we take a look at it, they're in man coverage on the receivers on the outside, so you find the little dump off. He gets a couple of blocks. Look, the lineman going down the field, makes a couple of nice cuts, and picks up a nice game for South Carolina.
16 yards to be exact for Mike Davis, 5'9", 212-pound junior out of Columbia. Came in with over 1,100 career yards and 11 touchdowns. Total yards a lot closer than people would have thought at this point in time. But the Gamecocks far from done yet. Nothing doing on that play, however. As Corey Boyd was swallowed up by Jezreel Washington, sophomore out of New Orleans.
Only the 7th carry of the ball game for Boyd. As we said, got off to a great start, but just hasn't touched the ball a lot lately. Ball spotted at the middle of the 35-yard line. Smelly
Has time, fires near sideline, caught by McKinley, but for very little gain. Scooter Rogers was there on the coverage. Another Floridian on this Lafayette team. Their roster is chock full of guys from 3 states, Louisiana, Florida, and Texas. And if you're going to recruit 3 states, those are 3 pretty good ones.
Yeah, those are the top ones every year. Smelly looks like going to his checkdowns pretty quickly since throwing the interception back in the first quarter, looking for a lot underneath right now.
3rd down and 9. Out of the gun, a 3-wide set. Boyd, the lone back. He's going to run. Little dump down pass again to Corey Boyd, but again, nowhere to run and nowhere to hide. Lafayette reading that one, a modest gain, stopped at the 30. This is certainly in the range of Ryan Suckup, and they will bring him out. Ryan Suckup, who last year hit a 55-yard field goal at Vanderbilt. That was the 2nd longest in school history. He's 10 of 11 inside 47 yards, and this will be right at 47 yards. 47 yards officially. It'll be out of the hold of Tommy Beecher. And now appears to be some confusion.
They're missing a blocker up there as we've got a late entry by the Gamecocks.
Looks like Nathan Pepper had to hurry out there. Only 3 seconds left. Better snap it in a hurry. Did they get it off? The kick is up, and it is no good. Wide right. Well, it's hard to blame that one on Ryan Suckup. You had a fire drill going on, and you had to rush the snap and the kick. I wasn't even sure if they got it off in time. And Suckup charged with a missed field goal, one of the few that he's had in his career.
Didn't look like he was able to set his feet with that late substitution coming in. And not a good start as the Gamecocks tried to get the lead back after jumping out to the early lead, unable to do so. And now they're going to put their defense back out on the field and try to get off in a hurry. Remember what the Raging Cajuns have done in their last couple of possessions, taking a lot of time off the clock and chewing up yards. Really nothing fancy. They've just been running.
Catch Sports Night weekdays at 6 and 11 p.m. Eastern Time for a fast break debate of the hottest sports stories in the Southeast and the biggest sports celebrities. Get the latest information on all your local teams with Sports Night, only on CSS, your source for Southeast sports. Mike Morgan, Brad Muller with you here in Columbia. 14-14. That is our score with 4:05 remaining in the first half. If you missed the first 3 minutes, that was the Gamecock highlight reel. Since then, it's really been all Lafayette.
Certainly on the ground, as we said, 26 carries, 171 yards on the ground for Louisiana Lafayette. Their quarterback, Mike Desimo, 11 carries, 69 yards. Tyrell Fenroy, 9 carries, 72 yards. So a good 1-2 punch there with the quarterback and the tailback. And again, they're taking a lot of time off the clock with every possession, not allowing the Gamecocks to stay on the field with their offense.
You hate to see that. That is Yvonne Benag walking off the field with crutches. Benag, the junior out of Buford, Georgia, one of the top special teams players on this Gamecock team. Melvin Ingram into the game at linebacker for Carolina. Desimo trying to get out of the way of Marquis Hall, but Hall swallows him up behind the line of scrimmage, and it's good to see the big guy back. Marquis Hall, a 6'3", 302-pound junior out of Wingate, North Carolina, went down last year with a knee injury.
Hard to believe 302 pounds can get moving this quickly. He chases down the quarterback, doesn't give up on him, and Desimo is going to be feeling that one tomorrow.
Little factoid on Marquis Hall. When he was 12 years old, he was 6'1", 250 pounds. Oh. Didn't even need much of a growth spurt. No. He was already huge at 12. 2nd and 13. Probably got carded when he walked into middle school each day. Desimo on a keeper, not much there. Marquis Hall again in on the tackle.
South Carolina would love to produce a 3-and-out here with their defense and get them off the field after those long touchdown drives by the Raging Cajuns the last 2 times. So a big down coming up here for South Carolina on defense.
3rd down and 11. The Raging Cajuns 4 out of 6 on 3rd down thus far tonight. Crowd gets loud here at Williams-Brice. Gamecocks looking for a big stop under 3 minutes remaining in the first half. Out of the shotgun, Desimo. The lefty. Looks left side, throws low. Coverage was there. It's incomplete. Brandon Isaac, who's back from that injury. Last year he had the shoulder injury. They look for him to be a ball hawk at that safety position.
One of the few times Louisiana Lafayette has been in a definite passing situation. That's not their game, obviously, and it pays off for South Carolina. They'll get the ball back with a little bit of time.
It will be Munnerlyn back again. And they're reviewing the last play. Looks like from here it clearly hit the ground, but this is the interesting part of the replay system in college football. They review things that appear to be obvious, and then they choose not to review plays which are clearly controversial. We've had a number of those scenarios here at Williams-Brice. This is going to be incomplete, but here's another look.
And it appeared to have hit the ground from our vantage point. Had a good break on the ball. May have bounced off his hands is maybe what they're arguing or taking a look at, but it did look like it clearly hit the turf.
This will be a better angle there. Closer than I thought,
yeah,
to be honest with you. We can get another angle or so, but again, it has to be conclusive. So unless they find the angle that shows clearly that ball didn't hit a blade of grass, it's going to be a punt here, and it'll be Gamecock football regardless. Plenty of time, obviously, for Steve Spurrier and company, and you want to go to the half with some type of positive momentum, Brad, and a chance to get some of that here on what will be perhaps the final drive for the Gamecocks of the half. 2:28 remaining. We're still tied at 14, and we're back in just a moment. Well, after further review, it is an incomplete pass, so the Ragin' Cajuns will punt it away here. Munnerlyn parked at the 35. Here's the punt. A wobbler, end over end. Bounces near the 45. They roll right toward the 35 where Munnerlyn started. So it wasn't a pretty punt, but a good net for Drew Edmiston, 36 yards. Make that Ortego the punter. Spencer Ortego, the freshman, number 35 for Lafayette. 2:14 to go in the first half, and a chance for Carolina to kind of find their way again here, Brad. I mean, it's almost unexplainable how they could be so dominant the first couple of drives and then struggle so mightily here the rest of the way in the first half as Tommy Beecher back on the field.
And his second drive, he orchestrated a touchdown drive, the second touchdown for the Gamecocks. See if he can get something going here. The Gamecocks have had great field position throughout the night.
Beecher out of the shotgun. Has time, dumps it off. There's Mike Davis. Spin move at the 40 and lunges forward to the 44, but a penalty flag in the backfield. Jared Jones on the tackle.
Another helmet was lost by the Gamecocks. South Carolina may have to invest in some chin straps before this one's over.
That is 4 lost helmets in the first half. That's got to be some kind of record.
15 yards from the previous spot. Automatic first down.
And now we know why. When you have somebody putting hands to the face, as Terrell Richardson of Lafayette did, that will tend to facilitate the movement of a helmet off the head.
Check out the upper side of your screen here on the replay. You'll see probably see the helmet come off here as they're engaged. It's got a little piece of the helmet, hands to the face. Off comes the helmet right there at the end.
That's a pretty easy call. Pretty easy call when you see it from that vantage point, which no doubt one of the officials did. So first down and 10 from the 50. Lafayette, 6 penalties, 43 yards. Carolina a little bit cleaner thus far. Just 3 penalties on the night. Beecher trying to create something out of nothing. Goes back to the other side. Now cuts it at the 50. Dives forward past the 45. A solid gain of about 5 yards for Tommy Beecher.
And Beecher doing his best Mike Desimo impersonation there, trying to buy some time, but good coverage downfield by the Ragin' Cajuns. Looked like they were locked up in some man-to-man coverage, and none of the Gamecocks could break free.
Steve Spurrier has been more and more complimentary of Tommy Beecher, who has some ties to the old ball coach. Tell you about that in just a second. 2nd and 5. Swing pass to Davis, left side. Jukes his way past the 40 and down to the 36. That'll be a first down. That'll stop the clock. Derek Keys in on the tackle for the Raging Cajuns. Tommy Beecher out of Concord, North Carolina, has 2 uncles who played for Steve Spurrier at Duke.
Yep, way back in the day when Coach Spurrier was winning his first conference championship in his 3rd season with the Blue Devils.
Beecher also a high school alum of the same high school as Andy Boyd. Both from Concord, North Carolina. Andy Boyd, for those that joined us late, catching a touchdown pass earlier in this ball game, his 4th career touchdown reception. Beecher out of the shotgun on first down. Looking for the deep ball, instead now dumps it off to Boyd. Boyd sprinting over to the far sideline, cuts it upfield at the 25-yard line and down to the 22. Yet another tackle for Derek Keys. Now Corey Boyd is going to be a very busy man this year in this offense. And again, there is no Sidney Rice. Kenny McKinley obviously will be the primary target in the passing game, but that man Corey Boyd, 4th in all-purpose yards last year with 1,293, 823 rushing yards. He averaged 5 yards a carry in this offense. Beecher from the 22, cocks and fires deep, caught by the tight end Saunders, and he is down at the 3, a penalty flag there. Well, Spurrier wasn't kidding when he said we're going to throw to the tight end more. 2 grabs by Boyd, 1 by the freshman Wesley Saunders out of Durham, North Carolina. Saunders goes 6'5", 283 pounds.
On the defense, number 2. Penalties decline. First down.
And the play will stand. Defensive holding. I mean, this guy is a load, but he can move. Saunders, look at the side. He looks like an offensive tackle out there running a route. Saunders, his 1st career catch. 1st and goal from the 2. Boyd deep in the backfield, pitch right-hand side, stiff arms his way into the end zone. Touchdown, Carolina. 2-yard score for Corey Boyd. His 19th career touchdown. And the Gamecocks recapture the lead. It is 20-14 with the extra point pending. So Corey Boyd starting this game off kind of slow, but makes the big play there. A lot of strength providing the alley for Boyd along the right side. Now Suckup with his 3rd attempted extra point. High snap, fielded cleanly by Tommy Beecher. And it is now a 7-point ball game. First score since the 12-minute mark of the 1st quarter for the Gamecocks. Here's another look. Stafford, the lead blocker, doesn't get much of the defender, but Corey Boyd with a stiff arm and then the dive right near the pylon. Corey Boyd, 19 career scores. Another look here. Pretty good blocking up front. Just had to avoid that one initial defender, as Corey Boyd often does. Scoring drive for the Gamecocks, 5 plays, 65 yards, 1 minute, and 52 seconds off the clock. So the Gamecocks looking and receiving that much needed boost of positive energy going into the locker room with 25 seconds remaining in the first half. Lafayette really started taking this game by storm with a number of yards on the ground. The Raging Cajuns running for 170 yards, many of those by the quarterback. But now the Gamecocks mounting a successful 5-play, 65-yard drive. So Ryan Suckup will kick it off, and the Raging Cajuns will try to make something happen with 24 seconds to go. See the return men for the Raging Cajuns, including 31 Dion Wallace. Dion Wallace and Jason Cherry back to return Ryan Suckup's kickoff. He hit one about 75 yards earlier. Let's see what he does here. Heading toward the north end zone. It's another fine group. into the end zone, and the Raging Cajuns will wisely take the touchback. So that takes virtually no time off the clock, 24 seconds to work with. Corey Boyd, solid first half, but you know he'll be looking for more in the second half. 8 carries, 26 yards, and a touchdown. Corey Boyd now in his 5th year in the program out of Orange, New Jersey. CSS is looking for the ultimate fan in college sports. Send us your 2-minute video why you and your school offer the ultimate fan experience. You could win the ultimate prize if it's good enough and even see your video on CSS. Visit css-sports.com for more details. Raging Cajuns will be satisfied going to the half with a 7-point deficit as Desimo takes a knee on the first play and really shouldn't have to take another one here. Pretty impressive first half for the Gamecocks offense and the Raging Cajuns offense. Last time these two teams met here in 2003, it was a 14-7 ball game. A little bit more offensive fireworks here in the first half as the Gamecocks lead it 21-14. A lot coming here during our halftime program, including our sideline reporter George Rogers, who's down on the field. We'll get some thoughts from him. We'll also speak to South Carolina Athletics Director Eric Hyman as well. Go over some stats and highlights and get you set for the second half. It's the Gamecocks by 7, and you're listening and watching CSS. And we welcome you back to Williams-Brice Stadium, where our halftime score, the Gamecocks lead the Raging Cajuns of Louisiana Lafayette 21-14. Let's now send it down to the field and enjoy the Carolina Marching Band.
Guitar riffs by Richie Sambora. Everyone knows the words to this great rock hit.
Again, our score, the Gamecocks leading the Ragin' Cajuns by a count of 21-14. We'll take a timeout. When we come back, we'll speak with South Carolina Athletics Director Eric Hyman.
Ladies and gentlemen, the University of South Carolina has 20 teams and 463 student athletes competing in the NCAA. In the classroom this past spring, our teams had the highest grade point average on record, and for the first time ever, recorded a cumulative 3.0 GPA. While you are aware of the visible results of the field of play, our student athletes are also having a positive impact on the lives of others. Through Team Gamecocks, our student athletes and coaches participated in 125 projects and 3,000 hours of community service. While we are proud of last year's accomplishments, we're even more excited about the year ahead. So let's meet our Gamecocks. Football, coached by Vince Rivera, is on the road competing in the third-degree Sportswear Invitational. Women's basketball, coached by Susan Walden, is advancing to the postseason for the last 6 years. Then it gets easy by placing 10 student athletes on the 2007 NBC Winter Sports Academic Honor Roll. The Gamecocks have reached the postseason in back-to-back years, including a run to the round of 16 in the NIT in 2007. Men's golf, coached by Bill McDonald, completed an 18 straight NCAA championship. The Gamecocks shot 44 strokes under par to win the NCAA West Regional in 2007 and went on to tie for 11th at the NCAA Finals. Women's golf,
All right, let's see what play we want to run here, Webb.
Coach, we have the nation's top exercise science program. The linebacker's low VO2 max makes him susceptible to misdirection.
I'm in our #1 ranked international business program. I just did a competitive analysis on their DB, and I know Kenny can beat him deep.
All right, listen, man. Believe and achieve, okay? Gamecocks on 3. 1, 2, 3. Gamecocks!
Just go ahead and crouch for me. Coming back. And welcome back. Again, our score at the half. The Gamecocks leading the Ragin' Cajuns of Louisiana Lafayette 21-14. We are now pleased to be joined by South Carolina Athletics Director Eric Hyman. Coach, some of your thoughts on the first half?
Well, I think offensive, it looked like coming out of the blocks, we came out real fast, and then we've got a little helter-skelter there. It'll take some time for us to settle down. I've been very impressed with the quarterbacks. Obviously, our offensive line has done a pretty good job. Defensive front, extremely young and over pursuing, and hopefully at halftime our coaches will tell our players to stay at home a little bit more, and then we ought to be fine.
Sounds good to me. Now, before we get into everything that's going on with the administration, let's talk about a great night for South Carolina soccer.
This weekend has been absolutely spectacular, and I was talking with Mark Burson. He said it may have been the best week ever in the history of South Carolina, with the men's team beating Clemson last night in double overtime, and then the women beat the #1 team in the country, North Carolina, at North Carolina, which is totally unheard of. So it's been fantastic, and now just put the icing on the cake with the football team winning. It'll be a phenomenal weekend.
Eric, we're getting near that time now. Everybody wants to know the latest on the master plan for the facilities of the capital campaign. Where is everybody with that right now?
Well, right now, what we're doing is, we've done a huge amount of work on the master plan. We unveiled it a little less than a year ago, and now we're in the process of doing when they call a capital campaign. You do it externally, but before you do it externally, you do it internally. And since Carolina's never done a capital campaign before, we're plowing up new ground. So we're developing relationships. We're presenting what our vision is, and what direction we want to go, and trying to explain to people why are we doing some of the things that we're doing. It's an exciting opportunity, and it really gives the resources to our coaches and our student athletes to compete at the highest level. Because let's face it, the Southeastern Conference is the most aggressive conference in the country in this area, and we need to spring into the Southeastern Conference and really do our part from a facility standpoint.
Eric, I know a lot of people are excited about what the future entails, and certainly you're a big part of that. Really looking forward to more leadership under your direction. We thank you so much for joining us here at the Half.
Thank you for having me. Go Gamecocks.
You got it. South Carolina Athletics Director Eric Hyman. We're back with more from Williams-Brice Stadium in just a moment.
Halftime continues at Williams-Brice Stadium, where the Gamecocks lead the Ragin' Cajuns from Louisiana Lafayette by a score of 21-14. Well, the University of South Carolina recently partnered with the U.S. Army in a multi-million-dollar testing for U.S. Army helicopters. Frenchie Brewer tells us more.
An unorthodox landing pad, to say the least, but the perfectly manicured lawn in front of a Greek village made for a smooth landing for the Apache and Black Hawk Army helicopters to announce its partnership with the U.S. Army and the South Carolina Army National Guard. The trio is launching a multi-million-dollar testing program that could make Apache, Black Hawk, and Chinook helicopters safer and more economical to maintain and operate. At the recent ribbon-cutting ceremony, South Carolina Army National Guard dignitaries joined President Andrew Sorensen in showing off the testing facility called the Condition-Based Maintenance Research Center here on campus. South Carolina's center will test helicopter drivetrains, the components that generate the helicopter's power. Lim Grant is with the South Carolina Air National Guard and says this technology will enable the Army to make maintenance decisions based on actual equipment condition.
Number one, we can predict their life cycle as to when they're going to fail, and we remove that part before they fail, but we maximize the part usage.
The condition-based maintenance program is being funded with nearly $5 million in grants from the Department of Defense. The studies are critical. Military helicopters cost between $25 to $50 million each.
This USC condition-based maintenance center will have a far-reaching significant impact on Army aviation safety and readiness. Today is really a proud day for USC, the South Carolina Army National Guard, and the United States Army.
In the past, it's just a lot of mysteries, smoke and mirrors behind what goes into a vibrating component. And with electronic components and sensors, it really I think it boosts morale and gives some optimism and hope to those who actually have to work with the equipment.
A team of mechanical engineering undergraduate and graduate students also built the nearly $3 million center, with many of the materials for the center created and built in the college's other fabrication facilities and labs. As you've just seen, the University of South Carolina has the expertise and the facilities to perform basic and applied research with real-world application. And we're utilizing the skills of our very talented engineering students. And speaking of talented, have you heard about the impressive bunch of freshmen this fall? Move-in day brought nearly 3,800 freshmen who are the best and the brightest to ever attend the University of South Carolina. Included among this impressive bunch, 355 Palmetto Fellows, the state's most prestigious scholars. 25 freshmen are Carolina Scholars. 21 are McNair Scholars, receiving the university's most distinguished scholarships. And 610 are Capstone Scholars, taking advantage of an array of academic, research, and service opportunities.
I'm definitely excited about moving in. I'm going to be the first out of my mom's children to actually go to college, so it's like a big deal for my family.
I chose South Carolina over other universities because of the International Business School. I'd really like to do that, and just the diversity of the campus and all the things you can do.
In the battle of the sexes, the women rule. More than half the freshman class is female, reflecting a nationwide trend of more women enrolling in college. Students in this class hail from 40 states and 22 countries. And don't look twice, you are seeing double, because there are 14 sets of twins on campus, and chances are they're carrying on a family tradition because 14% of the freshman class had a parent or grandparent who also attended the university. So put on your garnet and black and join the Gamecock Nation. Feel the excitement here at the University of South Carolina. I'm Frenchie Brewer. See you on campus.
Halftime continues at Williams-Brice Stadium in Columbia. The Gamecocks leading the Raging Cajuns by only a touchdown after a quick start. Brad Muller along with George Rogers. George, your impressions of the first half. The Gamecocks looked like they were going to run away in the first quarter, but then here come the Raging Cajuns. They made it a ball game.
They really did, and South Carolina started out with the first couple of drives, and you thought the game would be over. But hey, Ricky Bustle's got some bad news for South Carolina. If you think this game's over, it ain't.
They've really had a tough time containing the quarterback and the running game. That's going to have to improve if South Carolina is going to be able to pull away in the second half.
It's definitely that, and South Carolina got to learn how to stop the run. That Ricky Bustle had found out that South Carolina got a weakness. So South Carolina want to win this game. They got to really start playing football right now.
And the Gamecocks two-quarterback system has worked good numbers so far. Your coach Steve Spurrier, you've got to like that. Let's check out the highlights from the first half and the touchdowns for both teams.
I tell you, you can look at this right here. Bleacham, and I tell you what, he's not a bad passer. And then when you start throwing to the tight end, that's making a real good play for us. And then, hey, what can you say about this guy right here? He's a good football player. And Corey Board, he's definitely one of my favorites. And he got in there to make that touchdown toward the end of the half. And that made South Carolina turn it around a little bit.
Let's check out the Raging Cajun scoring.
Hey, I tell you what, we could not stop this kid, or we couldn't even stop the running back. And that's what Ricky Bustle was trying to do. He's trying to get his team where them guys can get some confidence, and hopefully South Carolina will fold in sometime. But I don't think South Carolina will, but Ricky Bustle is putting up a good fight.
A good first half of football. Back for the second half after we take this break. Gamecocks leading by a touchdown.
And welcome back to the live action here at Williams-Brice Stadium in Columbia. The Gamecocks a 7-point lead. The Raging Cajuns will get the ball first in the second half as Suckup powers it again into the end zone, and the Raging Cajuns will take a knee. So 1st and 10 from the 20 for Lafayette. Halftime statistics kind of back and forth. In the beginning, the Gamecocks were dominating. Then the Raging Cajuns had the upper hand. And as you can see, when the first half came to a close, the Gamecocks with the lead in total yards, 258 to 189. Only one turnover in this game. That was the interception. Penalties, the Raging Cajuns have shot themselves in the foot a couple of times. And time of possession, the Raging Cajuns with a couple of long drives, one of which over 6 minutes in length, and that's a big reason why that number has arrived at just about break even, with the Raging Cajuns owning a slight edge. So pretty even first half statistically and on the scoreboard. The Gamecocks scoring a late touchdown to get the 7-point lead as a modest gain. Great to see that man back on the field. You saw him earlier with some ice on that high ankle sprain, but Jasper Brinkley back in for Carolina. What a year he had last year. He was 4th in the SEC, 107 tackles. He's on everybody's preseason all-SEC list. And you talk to some of the coaches in this league, I don't think that anybody believes there's a better middle linebacker in this conference. Pass deflected near the line of scrimmage. Eric Norwood applying some pressure there. Looked like he got his big paw on it. Again from the shotgun, Desimo, the lefty, and that ball was nearly caught with 2 hands by Eric Norwood. They tried to chop him down. He just jumped up in the air and made a nice play at the football. So it's 3rd down and 7. A little bit of confusion here for Lafayette. Desimo trying to make sure everybody's on the same page. Under 10 on the play clock. It's Desimo looking for room to run and nowhere to hide as a penalty flag is thrown late. A gain of about 4, maybe 5 yards, and Desimo is injured on the play. We'll find out the latest on the injury and the penalty here in just a moment. Looks like Ian Burks might be the guilty party on the hold for the Raging Cajuns. And right now, all eyes from that Raging Cajun sideline on Desimo. That would be a devastating blow.
On the offense, number 78. Penalties decline. 4th down.
Take a look at the last play in the injury here as Desimo still on the ground. He's okay there, and then, Marquis Hall just does a belly flop on him, and he might have just gotten the wind knocked out of him more than anything else. Yes. Marquis Hall, 302 pounds, just flopping right on top of him.
We saw Hall get on top of Desimo earlier, but that's going to hurt that time. And I don't know if a little piece of the ball got underneath him. May have been a little bit more than knocking the wind out of him.
Well, that's a good sign. Desimo able to trot back to the sideline. It is 4th down, so the Raging Cajuns will have to punt the football anyway, and that might suit that man just fine as he gets a chance to get the wind back in the sails. So the punting unit back out onto the field for the Raging Cajuns as the Gamecock defense gets the job done that time out. Pretty heavy pressure there. The punt comes off clean. And it is not a fair catch. Munnerlyn, a risky return, fielded at the 36, and he is dragged back all the way near the 30. Forward progress will give him the 34-yard line, where Carolina will take over 1st and 10. 38-yard punt for the Raging Cajuns. Well, Brad, first half kind of an interesting back and forth affair for each team. But now I think everybody's curious to see how the Gamecocks are going to come out this 3rd quarter.
Yeah, if they can come out like they started the ballgame, moving the football down the field very quickly, getting a couple of scores, that'll get this crowd back into it. They've moved the ball well most of the night. They just haven't been on the field as much because of those long drives.
It is Tommy Beecher starting the second half for the Gamecocks. We've seen both quarterbacks about equal time thus far. Pass out in the flats, completed to Andy Boyd. He's got 3 receptions this game, and I don't even have to look that up. That's a career high. He came into this game with just 4 career catches.
Let's take a look at Beecher here. As you look at the mechanics here of Beecher, sets his feet, follows through on his throw, doesn't throw these screwballs as Coach Spurrier referred to with some of his quarterbacks earlier this week.
So first down and 10 from midfield. Pretty nice numbers there for Tommy Beecher. 6 out of 7, 93 yards and a score. Now the pass complete to McKinley. McKinley trying to make something out of nothing there. Gain of about 6, maybe 7 on the play. Scooter Rogers trips him up. Well, Tommy Beecher might be making a statement. He's a guy that's been living in relative anonymity throughout his Gamecock career. The focus has been on, going back to last year, people like Blake Mitchell and Savell Newton, and of course Chris Smelly was the highly touted quarterback out of Tuscaloosa. And then you've got Steven Garcia, who everybody is talking about. And meanwhile, Spurrier keeps saying, don't forget about Tommy Beecher. Tommy Beecher is a guy that really played well in the fall. Third down and 3. High formation. Pitch left-hand side. It's Boyd. Boyd past the 40. He's got the first down. It's upended at about the 35-yard line. Scooter Rogers gets down low on him, but Corey Boyd gets first down yardage. So move the change as the drive continues. Another look at Corey Boyd. Solid night thus far for Corey. He certainly would like a little bit more. He wants to get back out onto the field. Coach Gillespie, the running backs coach for Carolina, rotates Boyd and Mike Davis quite a bit. Empty backfield look here as Beecher looking to throw downfield. Pocket collapses on him, and he has to eat the football near the line of scrimmage. Rodney Hardaway, the junior out of Tyler, Texas, the anchor of that Lafayette defensive line, devours him, and that'll be second down. You see Jean-Pierre, he's in at guard. James Thompson was suspended. We got the news earlier today that James Thompson, who was projected to start at guard, suspended for 4 games, much like he was a year ago. So the door is wide open for guys like Lemuel, Jean-Pierre, and Kevin Young to grab a starting spot. Second down and 11. Beecher cocks and fires. Far sideline, almost intercepted, and then incomplete. Kind of a dangerous pass, and that was intended for Larry Freeman, the 6'1 junior out of Fort Meade, Florida. Our first look at Larry Freeman, one of the many newcomers to this wide receiving corps. Another look at the play. Beecher throwing into coverage. Freeman had it in his hands, then took a hit, and the ball jars loose. It'll be third down and 11. Third and 11 for Tommy Beecher and company. The marker is at the Lafayette 25-yard line. Again out of the shotgun, a 3-wide set. Davis, the lone back. He's out on a route. Beecher going deep over the middle. It's almost picked off at the 15. Boy, Derek Keys will never get a better gift than that, and he's unable to capitalize. Beecher is lucky to not have that one picked off.
And Mike, it looked like the Gamecocks had settled in with their quarterbacks in the first half. A lot of short underneath routes. Now they finally take another shot downfield, and Beecher almost turns it over. Almost the second turnover. Gets hit right as he throws it. Able
Desmo flares it left side. Pass is complete, but shy of the marker. Nevels caught it, but was greeted immediately by Darian Stewart, the sophomore out of Huntsville, Alabama. Stewart, backup safety on the team, going to see a lot of action this year.
Good coverage in the flat. They were going to give him that on third down. Obviously, they didn't want him to catch the football, but the Gamecocks just not letting any receivers get behind them, keeping everything up front, and brings out the punting unit.
So the Gamecock defense getting it done on the opening 2 drives for Lafayette, forcing 2 punts. Munnerlyn back to receive. End over end kick. Munnerlyn's going to field it. He called for a fair catch, kind of a half-hearted signal, but enough to get the fair catch. The Gamecocks will take over, 1st and 10 from the 27-yard line. Every time Munnerlyn goes back there, there's a chance at history. Now, the Gamecocks have not returned a punt for a touchdown since 2003 and haven't returned a kickoff since 2002. Matthew Thomas, if you're scoring at home. We're back with more in just a moment. Back to the live action. The Gamecocks a 1st and 10 from the 27. Beecher still in the game. Short handoff up the middle for a gain of about a yard. Mike Davis on the carry for Carolina. That's his 3rd carry of the night. He's got 20 yards thus far. Corey Boyd, the leading ground gainer, 10 carries, 35 yards, and a touchdown as well. 2nd down and 9. Gamecock offense has been kind of quiet since the early going of the 1st quarter.
After a couple of errant passes, might see a little more of the ground game here for the Gamecocks.
There's a fake end around. The give is to the left side. Mike Davis, another modest gain. I tell you what, you got to give this Lafayette front 7 some credit. They have responded very well.
Yeah, certainly, and coming into this ballgame, you wouldn't think that they were going to have a huge advantage over this large offensive line for the Gamecocks. Kind of an undersized defensive line, especially at the end position. Their starters right around 230 pounds, but they're hanging in there.
They've got a new defensive coordinator, 4-3 defense. They've got some freshmen out there. They played pretty well so far with this offense. Here's a deep pass complete, and a nice leaping grab by Jared Cook. And again, that's a guy, 6 grabs last year. 1 touchdown, 15 yards on that reception. Unfortunately for Jared Cook, he's remembered most for the pass he didn't catch last year against Auburn.
Exactly, that could have put the Gamecocks ahead or tied late in the game. And here's the catch. Look at it, goes up for it, able to stay in bounds. Pretty good coverage there by the Raging Cajuns. Good protection by the Gamecock offensive line.
Again, back to the ground game. It's Mike Davis pushing the pile forward for a gain of about 4. You know, going back to Cook for a moment. Cook out of Sewanee, Georgia. This is a guy that He's listed as a tight end, but really he has a strong, big kind of NFL wide receiver's body at 6'5", 236. And if he can get that body and the hands going at the same time, he's got a chance to be lethal.
And a 39.5-inch vertical, that's something the scouts will look at as well.
A tremendous athlete, one of the better ones on the team. Another bubble screen to the right side. It's Freddie Brown. Freddie Brown, the redshirt sophomore out of Duncan. 14 grabs last year. They've got Freddie Brown out of Duncan, and they've got Jason Barnes, who we have not seen yet tonight. He's out of Independence High School in Charlotte. And together, those two guys were part of two of the best passing offenses in the last decade in high school football.
And right now, not seeing a lot of deep routes by the Gamecock offense, as they've chipped away a little bit here, but they're keeping the sticks moving and keeping the clock running as well.
Speaking of keeping the sticks moving, a big 3rd and 4 here, and there's an open man. That's Mo Brown over the middle. He finally is drugged down near the 33-yard line of Lafayette. 17 yards on the hookup to the sophomore out of Anderson, Mo Brown.
You take a look at it, only had 9 catches last year in 12 games, but they expect him to be a deep threat this year. Finds the open area in the zone and picks up the first down.
So it's been the Brown and Brown show. First Freddie with a grab, then Mo following that up. And another first down for Carolina as the drive continues with under 7 minutes remaining here in the 3rd quarter. First down and 10. Beecher to Davis. Between the tackles, Davis bringing a couple of defenders with him. Gain of about 7. Mark Risher was given a ride. Well, Tommy Beecher has played a lot in this game. In fact, has more snaps right now than Chris Smelly does. Beecher, the sophomore out of Concord, North Carolina. Impressive numbers, 10 out of 14, 133 yards and a touchdown. And again, you know, a lot of people are assuming Blake Mitchell's going to start next week at Georgia, and he might. But this game, so valuable for both of these backups to make a statement that, hey, I'm ready to get in there when needed. Here's a big hole up the middle for Davis. Upended at the 15 and down at the 14. Nice job of blocking by the boys on the interior of that offensive line, which again has been a question mark.
Davis lost his helmet. We've seen that a bunch of times. Take a look on the left side. Little delay, starts right, comes back to the left. Big gaping hole. He's into the secondary, and a touchdown saving tackle there.
Boy, Jamon Meredith, the left tackle, did a nice job of paving the way for Mike Davis. First down and 10 from the 14. Beecher throws to McKinley, has a block, cuts it, and is now swallowed up at the 10-yard line. Gene Blunt in on the tackle, the sophomore out of Garrison, Texas.
Mike McKinley tried to cut that back inside. May have been better served going outside. He gets a nice block by the other wide out there. He cuts it back inside. If he goes back to the outside, it might be a foot race to the corner.
8 different receivers have caught a pass in this game for Carolina. 6 have 2 or more. So they are spreading the wealth tonight, not only with the quarterbacks, but with the receivers as well. Second down, 6 yards to go. Give is the left side. That is Corey Boyd. Boyd's second effort finally bounced out of bounds. Not sure where they're going to mark it. Linesman now spots it at the 4. Corey Boyd, not only elusive, but so strong.
Take a look at the tough running here. Boyd on the left side, fresh legs after Davis carrying the ball much of this half so far. Tries to sprint to the outside and just forced out of bounds. Looks like he's going to be, well, they did give him the first down. Looked like he was almost a half-yard short.
So first down and goal from inside the 5. Staggered eye look. Kingery is the up back. Give us to Boyd. Boyd will take it to the house. Touchdown, Carolina. Corey Boyd's second score of the night. And it's 27-14, a 4-yard scamper by the senior out of Orange, New Jersey.
Corey Boyd untouched on the left side once again. Gets a lead block there from the fullback, cuts away the linebacker coming over. Never touched into the end zone for 6 more.
A very impressive drive there for Steve Spurrier's offense. A good combination of pass and run. A number of people contributing as Ryan Suckup caps it off with the extra point. And the lead is back to 14 for Carolina. Corey Boyd with career touchdown number 20. 4:54 remaining in the third quarter. Gamecocks up by 14. Don't miss Talking Football tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. It's the Ultimate Football Show for the Ultimate Football fan. Get all the engaging discussions, player interviews, and live viewer calls. If you want to stay on the pulse of college football this year, tune in tonight and every Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time only on CSS. Mike Morgan, Brad Muller with you here from Williams-Brice Stadium in Columbia. That man, Corey Boyd, with a nice night. 2 touchdowns now for Corey Boyd in the scoring drive, the longest drive for the Gamecocks tonight. 11 plays, 73 yards, 4 minutes and 43 seconds off the clock. Corey Boyd capping it off with the 4-yard score.
Mike, the nice 1-2 punch for the Gamecocks. Corey Boyd, 12 carries, 45 yards. Mike Davis, who had a lot of hard yards early in that drive, 7 carries, 45 yards as well.
Again, the Gamecocks really spreading the wealth all over the place. A number of people paying dividends in the yardage department, whether it's throwing the football, catching the football, or rushing the football. And the Gamecocks with a fine combination of run-pass on that last drive. Now, Lafayette's going to have to play from 2 scores down here, and we'll see if Ricky Bustle and company can produce some magic.
Well, for Coach Beecher, or for Coach Bustle and the Raging Cajuns, they were very patient in the first half. They were stifled on a couple of drives to start. They had a couple of long drives to get back in the ball game. They still got plenty of time. They shouldn't go away from their game plan. Just keep putting the ball in the hands of their quarterback and their running back. They had great success in the first half. No reason why they can't get back in it the same way.
Big drive here for Lafayette as the Gamecocks starting to find their way again on offense. Here's an end-around play to the right side. Good open field tackle there by Jasper Brinkley. It was Jason Cherry on the carry. Jasper Brinkley out of Thompson, Georgia, a tackling machine. One of the enforcers in college football. You're going to see that man playing on Sundays. You can make book on that. And his brother Casper, a fellow linebacker, has a good shot of playing at the next level as well. Casper had 7 sacks last year at a time for the team lead. Desermo, another carry for Lafayette. Looks like he's okay. He's got his wind back from that Marquis Hall collision.
But with as many times Desmo has carried the football tonight, you can't believe that jersey is still white.
Yeah. He's been a busy man indeed. Certainly the catalyst of this offense. First down and 10. And back to the ground. This time it's Dion Wallace. We haven't seen a whole lot of Tyrell Fenroy. Fenroy on the night, 11 carries, 81 yards, but again, the quarterback, Desimo, actually has more carries, 15, and we've seen Dion Wallace and Jason Cherry get into the running mix. This is going to be another carry for Dion Wallace. The backup tailback for the Raging Cajuns, Eric Norwood, stopping him in his tracks.
It's amazing how quickly the Raging Cajuns get up the field without throwing the football.
Yeah.
Run straight up the gut, a little misdirection, and they're moving the chains.
Now, it's an awkward offense that, frankly, Carolina's not going to see again. They use the spread, but they use it primarily to run the football. You hear spread formation, and you figure, well, they're going to throw it 40, 50 times, but it's the complete opposite. They're going to try to beat people running the football, and it's not that dissimilar to what the Gamecocks did when Skip Holtz was calling the offense back in 2000 and 2001. They would spread the field, but that was mainly a running offense with Phil Petty at the quarterback spot. The lefty triggers it and completes it for a short game on second down. Pass is caught by Philip Nettles, the 5'10", 190-pound sophomore. He's got at least one reception in 10 consecutive games for the Raging Cajuns. Third down and 5. They need the 42 of the Gamecocks. Gamecocks not showing blitz. 4 men on the line.
Crowd really picking up, trying to be the 12th man here for South Carolina. Been quiet a little bit since this game became close.
Play clock down to 5. Here's the snap. Desimo on the keeper, and he does it again. Boy, he is just hard to bring down. He's 6'2", 200 pounds, but he's a lot more nifty than a guy of that size would normally be.
If he was a basketball player, you'd call him an ankle breaker, because you see a lot of people just coming to the ground every time they try to tackle him. 92 yards on 16 carries and the touchdown. He's been deceptive.
First down and 10 from the 35. This time he does hand it off to Tyrell Fenroy for a modest gain. Rodney Paulk, the sophomore out of Columbia, Richmond Northeast High School, a freshman all-SEC man a year ago. They love the fact that he plays with high energy. He very quietly, with the Brinkleys kind of stealing all the thunder and the headlines, Rodney Paulk very quietly had an outstanding freshman campaign. Second and long. Again, not much between the tackles, not much on the right side for Fenroy and company. Casper Brinkley and Rodney Paulk there on the stop.
Give an assist to the lead blocker, pulling from the left side to the right side for the Raging Cajuns. Fell down in the hole that the tailback trying to run through, and that tripped him up and kept it at a short gain.
Another critical third down. Third down and 5. Lafayette's been pretty solid on third down tonight, 5 out of 10. Look for Desimo to possibly keep it again. That's been their bread and butter play on third down. Desimo this time looking to pass, shuffles the feet, fires, complete at the 30, but well shy of a first down. Jason Cherry caught it, but guess who? Jasper Brinkley was there.
Gamecocks came on the blitz, applied the pressure, tried to dump it off, but good coverage, keeping it to the short gain. They had a man open downfield, but there's no chance to get the ball down the field in the face of that blitz.
Lafayette's got to feel like there's 5 different guys wearing a number 52 jersey. I mean, Brinkley's everywhere. That ball is in the flat. He chases it down. He's stuffing runs up the middle. Not bad for a guy who's working on a high ankle sprain.
Exactly. The Brinkley brothers coming from a great junior college program. Georgia Military Junior College in Milledgeville, Georgia, has produced a lot of Gamecocks over the years, as well as several other SEC and ACC teams.
Fourth down and 4, and how about this? Ricky Bussell right now showing signs of going for it. They're going to have to call a timeout as the play clock was at 1, and that'll give them some more time to think about it. First timeout of the second half. Gamecocks leading at 28-14, 21 seconds remaining in the third quarter of play. Quick timeout here from Williams-Brice, and we're back in just a moment. Big play in this ball game. 4th down and 4. Gamecocks defensively really struggled last year on 4th down. Fenroy, the lone back, in for the Ragin' Cajuns. Desimo always a threat to run. Look for him out of the shotgun here. They've got trips to the left side. 8 men on the line for Carolina. Here's the throw. A quick slant, complete and wide open. On the play is Derek Smith, number 18, their leading returning receiver. And Derek Smith, a whole lot of space on the slant pattern. Ty Irving on the tackle, but Brad, too big a cushion right here.
Yeah, certainly. They had trips on the other side. He's the only receiver on the near sideline and able to pick up the first down.
13 yards. They're going to work out of the no huddle here. Give this to Fenroy up the middle. A modest game. But let's take a look at that play on 4th down once again.
And again, Derek Smith, the only receiver on this side. Everyone paying attention to trips on the other side. Looks him off, delivers the pass quickly inside. And most of the defenders on the other side of the field. First down for the Ragin' Cajuns.
You know, for 2 straight years, the SEC has gone for it on 4th down against Carolina more than any other team. And here's a stat for you. Last year, opponents were 18 of 27 on 4th down. 67%. Only 7 defenses in America had a worse percentage of stopping teams on 4th down. It has been a major problem spot for Tyrone Nix and this defense. And it has reared its ugly head once again. That brings us to the end of the 3rd quarter. Gamecocks up by 2 scores. And we're back with the 4th quarter in a moment. Mike Morgan, Brad Mueller back with you. 2nd down and 8. Desimo, a lot of room up the middle. Hesitates at the 5, spins down inside the 5-yard line. And let's send it now down to the field to George Rogers.
South Carolina had proved that they can score, but they certainly hadn't proved that they can stop the Ragin' Cajun. Ricky Bustle had really got his team ready to play. And if South Carolina want to win this game, they will have to stop Cajun from running football.
Thank you very much, George. Here is another run and a touchdown, but a penalty flag thrown late. Right as he crossed the goal line, a penalty flag drops to the ground. It looked like it came from the umpire, and that's going to be a hold, as it almost always is when the umpire throws it. So a big penalty right there.
Talked about earlier how Coach Ricky Bustle and the Ragin' Cajuns, one of the least penalized teams in the country every year since at least the last 4 or 5 years, averaging only about 6.
The offense, number 79. 10 yards, previous spot, repeat first down.
That's actually Chris Fisher, the center. Rarely do you see a center get called for a hold on a running play. Right side. And I tell you what.
Wasn't much.
Wasn't much. So 1st down and goal from the 14. Desimo, incidentally, over 100 yards, 102 yards for the starting quarterback. And that's rushing the football, not throwing. Crowd on their feet. They took the rendition of Carolina Girls, put that back in the basement. 2001 brought us into the fourth quarter here in Columbia, and it's working. Working just fine as Brandon Isaac wrestles Jason Cherry down to the ground for a huge loss.
I guess the Gamecocks have seen enough of those wide receiver screens that actually both teams have been running a lot tonight. Read that, not really worried about the downfield passing of the Raging Cajuns. Read that perfectly, and big loss for Louisiana Lafayette as we take a look at it. He looks to the right, looks back to the left to try to set it up and get some blockers there to the outside, but a couple of missed blocks, and the Gamecocks aren't fooled again.
That was actually Fenroy on the reception, and that's 6 tackles now for Brandon Isaac. He's had a busy night out of Blackville, South Carolina. The senior coming off an injury from a year ago and a timeout called here on second and a cheap cab ride. They got to make it to the end zone from the 20.
First time out this half.
So the Gamecocks burning a timeout with 13:59 is what the game clock actually reads here in the stadium. 13:59 remaining in the fourth quarter. 28-14. This Lafayette team has mounted 2 long drives, and this one aided by a 4th down conversion. As you see, Brandon Isaac, that is one worn out man. 28-14 our score.
All right, let's see what play we want to run here, Webb.
Coach, we have the nation's top exercise science program. The linebacker's low VO2 max makes them susceptible to misdirection.
I'm in our #1 ranked international business program. I just did a competitive analysis on their DB, and I know Kenny can beat him deep.
All right, listen, man. Believe and achieve, okay? Gamecocks on 3. 1, 2, 3. Gamecocks!
Steve Spurrier pleading his case earlier. He wanted an injury timeout for Brandon Isaac on that last play. Did not get it. Second down and goal from the 20. Desimo in trouble. Now looking to throw. He is swallowed up by a host of Gamecock defenders, including Jasper Brinkley and Eric Norwood.
Well, no surprise, Jasper Brinkley all over the field. Good penetration up front by the Gamecocks at that time. Looked like the design run all the way, but may have been a little trickery here by the Raging Cajuns as he had a notion to throw the ball. Hasn't thrown downfield much this evening. Had a couple of receivers downfield, but too many Gamecocks in his face.
Talk about hot pursuit. Look at all the black jerseys or garnet jerseys surrounding Desimo, the quarterback, on that last play. Lafayette good on third down thus far tonight. Here's a big one, 3rd and goal. They need the end zone, and it's caught inside the 2 by Derek Smith. Same man that caught the big pass on 4th down. Captain Munnerlin was on the coverage, but look at this play here.
And the leading receiver last year for the Raging Cajuns just slips in behind the corner in front of the safety, and a good pass by Desimo to get him close.
Right between Munnerlin and Hampton. They're going to go for it. Why not? You're Lafayette, you've got nothing to lose. 4th down and goal from the 2. 16th play of this drive, if you can believe it. And a whistle will stop the play.
Timeout. Louisiana Lafayette. Second timeout this half.
Will burn a timeout. Now the Gamecocks are up 2 touchdowns, but Lafayette threatening a key 4th down coming your way when we return.
Attention fans, today Verizon Wireless Texas winner is Robin Lloyd in his seat 26, row 1, section 9. Use this by the t-shirt for you and your 9 of your closest friends. Look for Texas win contests in the upcoming games. Verizon Wireless, we never stop working for you.
Here we go, 4th down and goal. Desimo throws to the end zone, incomplete. Chris Hampton there on the coverage. The throw was intended for Nevels, and Desimo, you can see, dejected. That man relieved. Tyrone Nix, his defense out on the field for a long, long time. That drive seemingly lasting forever. 16 plays, 78 yards. And after giving up one big 4th down conversion, this time the Gamecock defense stout on 4th and goal.
And give him credit, the Gamecocks up front, for putting pressure on Desimo as he tried to roll a little bit to his right, then give himself an option to throw or pass, able to get right in his face and force the throw a little bit quicker than he wanted.
So the Gamecocks will have to mount a pretty long drive here to get it back to the end zone. From the 2, it's still Beecher in at quarterback, and a slight gain up the middle. Mike Davis guts it up for 2.
Davis with his 8th carry. Again, he's been sharing the workload with Boyd tonight.
Corey Raymond in on to stop that man, Ricky Bussell. Again, the Raging Cajuns, you can't say they're afraid to take on the SEC. They've faced off against SEC foes 47 times, but have yet to pick up a victory. And they've got another SEC matchup later in the year. 2nd down, 8 yards to go. Beecher has trouble with the snap, and now he's running for his life. And he is devoured at the 5-yard line by Mark Risher. So that'll set up a 3rd down and long.
Beecher did a good job just to hold on to the football. Maybe should have just fell on it. You hate to see a quarterback dancing around with the football at his feet, but able to maintain possession for the Gamecocks.
Tommy Beecher, bright-eyed as you would expect him to be. It's the most action he's ever seen now. He comes up a little gimpy as the Gamecocks burn another timeout, so that'll leave each team with just 1 timeout left with 11:35. Actually, the game clock is at 11:43 officially, and that could be an eternity in a college football game. Gamecocks leading at 28-14. The stingy Raging Cajuns hanging around here at Williams-Brice. The Gamecocks leading at 28-14. 3rd down and 6 here. Lafayette shows blitz. They send 5. Swing pass out to the left side. It's Boyd. Across the 10, past the 15, and that'll move the chains. So a 1st down and 10 for Carolina. Tyrone Nix, boy, did he dodge a bullet on that last drive, Brad.
And certainly did the big stop on 4th down, but also dodged a bullet there when the offense almost turned the ball over 2 plays ago. And fortunately for the South Carolina Gamecocks, they maintain possession. Chris Smelly in at quarterback now.
This Lafayette offense, led by a new offensive coordinator, really a new offense and a new quarterback altogether, but it's been working for them. They've racked up 234 yards on the ground, 289 overall. The Gamecocks 372 total yards up to this point. Now it's Smelly in the game for Carolina. 1st down carry. It's Mike Davis for a modest gain. If you joined us late, it's been the Beecher-Smelly show. Beecher's thrown 15 passes. Smelly has thrown 14. They each have a touchdown pass. Smelly has 1 INT.
We said both have thrown the football pretty well. They've moved the team, and that's something I'm sure Coach Spurrier is glad to see, that they're able to move the team down the field. It's just the defense that's had a few problems for South Carolina. They can't get the offense back on the field enough.
That was a problem last year. That Gamecock defense was 9th in the SEC in stopping the run, and at times teams just seemed to be on the field forever. In fact, against Auburn, Carolina defense was on the field for the entire 3rd quarter. There was an onside kick mixed into the fold, but I've never seen that before, where one team never touched the football on offense for an entire quarter.
And what was crazy about that game is that was another game South Carolina had a chance to win, despite not touching the football for a whole quarter.
That goes back to the drop by Cook. Who knows what would have happened had he held on to the ball. Jared Cook, a solid night for Carolina. One of the many receivers that's caught a pass in this game. 2 grabs, 34 yards. McKinley leading the way in that category. 6 receptions for 44 yards and a touchdown. Well, here is a 3rd down and 9. And the Gamecocks would like to keep that clock ticking down here. Carolina 6 out of 10 on 3rd down. Pretty solid conversion rate in this ball game. Lone back is Boyd. He's out in the passing game. Pass is complete, and there is Cook. Complete past the 35. A late penalty flag. Thrown about 10 yards back of where the pass was caught. 21 yards on the reception, and Cook appears to be upset. Might be offensive pass interference.
They've gotten a push off down the field that we didn't see. That's going to bring it all the way back. Would have been one of the longer receptions on the night for either quarterback for South Carolina.
Yeah, the longest reception tonight, Chris Smelly had a 33-yard
interference on the offense, number 9. Half of this is the goal. Repeat 3rd down.
Oh, that's Mo Brown, the guilty party. He's not even involved in the play. So a careless penalty there. Obviously, you don't need that. Didn't help Cook any. He's going to make the catch regardless. That backs him up all the way inside the 10. 3rd and 17. Gamecocks' 4th penalty on the night. And here's a carry for Boyd. Trying to turn the corner. And now he's swallowed up by, oh, he's still on his feet. Still on his feet past the 25. There's a penalty flag on the play. It's probably going to be brought back, but still an entertaining run nonetheless. Corey Boyd had the most exciting run a year ago against Middle Tennessee State.
This is a close second, maybe on a shorter run, but just kept his feet moving. There's going to be a block in the back that's going to bring this one back, but just look at the footwork. He just refuses to go down, runs into people. He's just not finished until he says he's finished.
I counted 9 broken tackles on that run.
On the offense, number 9.
And it's Mo Brown. Boy, this will be a drive that Mo Brown would like to soon forget. An offensive pass interference and a hold, both on big plays for the Gamecock offense. And usually you don't see wide receivers involved in that many penalties.
South Carolina's had a nice 1-2 punch tonight running the football with Boyd and Davis, as we said, but now they keep going backwards. They've combined for 22 carries, 93 yards, and a couple of touchdowns. Also caught the ball well out of the backfield for 57 yards.
2 receivers to the left. And it will be a handoff to Mike Davis. Davis going left. And another penalty flag. Goodness, this has become a flagathon here. He's down at the 15, but in all likelihood, this is against the Gamecocks again. It's in the backfield. Now, Lafayette certainly could decline it here, and I would imagine that they would. It would be fourth and extremely long.
Penalties decline. Fourth down.
Now that was on the offensive line that time. They wouldn't even pick out a number, but wasn't a wide receiver that time. At least that's a good news for the Carolina receiving corps.
I'm just glad it wasn't Mo Brown. I'm not sure if Mo Brown would see the field again tonight if he had 3 penalties on one drive. So with 4th and 11, Carolina obviously going to punt the football here. 28-14 our score. The Gamecocks lead it, but this is far from over. Now watch out for this, because Lafayette has done a tremendous job of blocking kicks over the years. They've blocked 29 kicks in the last 4 seasons, so they're going to be coming at you. No, they're peeling back. Kind of surprising there. Punt is fielded in Gamecock territory, and there's a lot of room down the far sideline. Suckup has to make the tackle, knocking him out of bounds at about the 20-yard line. That was Philip Nevels on the return. And boy, did he find an alley down the right sideline.
Did a good job of reversing his field. You don't expect to see a long return on a short punt, because usually the numbers get there too quickly on a short punt, but he avoids the one tackle there, and it's a good thing Suckup just didn't kick it and run off the field like punters do sometimes. He was the last line of defense and did all he could to at least chase him to the sideline.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Leonard Stafford was going to track him down from behind. Suckup with the angle. Nice job by him. 32-yard punt, 27-yard return. And with 8 minutes to go, it's 1st and 10 from the Gamecock 20. Fake to Fenroy. Desimo on the keeper, to the 10, to the 5, and down there by Chris Hampton.
That'll put Desimo over 100 yards rushing tonight. Look at him again. He's untouched. Fakes the handoff, comes to the left side. He's untouched until he gets about 12 or 13 yards down the field.
Wait till you see these numbers on Desimo. Again, he is the quarterback. Those are his rushing totals. This time Fenroy is stacked up immediately. Runs into the Jasper Brinkley Express. Desimo, his first year at quarterback. Again, a former defensive back and special teamer. Over 100 yards. I'll tell you, the last time that I've seen an opposing quarterback rush like this, you got to go back to Tyler Watts of Alabama in 2001 when he ran he looked like Fran Tarkenton just running up and down the field in that wild shootout. Here is a 2nd down and 5. And you can bet the noise level is increasing moment by moment in that north end zone. Desimo going to throw the fade. Receiver falls down, and no chance there to make the grab. It's Derek Smith again. He's made 2 of the bigger catches on the night. Captain Munnerlyn got tangled up with him.
Well, Desimo able to get that play off. Looked like the play clock had gone down to 0, but got it off, maybe beating it by half a second. They're getting one-on-one coverage on the receiver on the short side of the field, but just unable to get it to him as he falls down.
You know, if you're Ricky Bussell here, you have 2 downs to get 5 yards. You know they're going to go for it on 4th. So they don't have to throw it to the end zone here. They could try a run if they desire to do so. A back each way for Desimo. He gives it to Fenroy, who is hit immediately, falls forward for about a yard. Guess who? Jasper Brinkley in on another tackle. It'll be 4th and goal.
If you're South Carolina, you have to be guessing, though. What are they going to run? You don't expect them to pass. They haven't thrown the ball that much, which can be a little scary if you're a defender. Is this going to be the time? All this misdirection that they run with the quarterback keeping it. He's had some big holes. They've got the dangerous running back. They've run the end around a couple of times. I would imagine Coach Nix and the Carolina defenders might be guessing here, but it's a long 4th and goal from the 5.
Leading tacklers tonight for Carolina, Jasper and Casper Brinkley each have 7 tackles. 4th down and goal from the 5. Desimo rolls out right, now looks back, he's got a man, caught at the 10, the 5, and a beautiful open field tackle by who else? Jasper Brinkley. He is everywhere.
The Raging Cajuns looked like they had that play in for a touchdown. They went the tackle eligible, but he's too slow to get in the end zone. All the pursuit went to Desimo to the far side of the field. Check the penalty here.
It's a late flag, very late.
It looked like a great play call because the Raging Cajuns looked like they had blockers in front, looked like he had a clear path to the end zone, but the tackle eligible just didn't quite have the legs to get into the end zone.
Illegal touching on the offense, number 67. He's an ineligible receiver. That penalty's declined. First down.
Now that's interesting. It was Jesse Newman.
Watch the replay here. Goes to the other side. Desimo took a hit. They do the tackle eligible. Apparently he didn't report. And you see Desimo went down hard.
There's no question it was intended all the way for Newman. That is somewhat perplexing. Maybe you're right. Maybe he didn't report. There you see it. Jasper and Casper, the leading tacklers once again. The Brinkley Express, 8 for Jasper, 7 for Casper on that last play. And you got the whole play going to the right. Somehow Brinkley is able to snuff it out on the left side. Amazing instincts to go along with the great athleticism by number 52. Again, the Gamecocks still on the wrong side of the field, but this will help. Big run up the middle for Mike Davis.
Davis found a hole again. He's untouched. Going to come at you straight ahead here is Mike Davis with his 11th carry. He's up around 70 yards now. Look, goes to his right, back to his left, up the middle. Big hole, and a big first down for the Gamecocks. Gets them out of the shadow of their own end zone.
First down 10 from the 14. 69 yards on the ground for Mike Davis. That leads all Gamecock runners. Boyd has 47. In the eye, Davis dots it. Man in motion to the left. Davis gets the feed. Running behind the left guard and pushing forward for about another 3 yards.
Davis really being a workhorse here in the second half for the Gamecocks. We talked a lot, or you hear a lot more about Corey Boyd. He put up some bigger numbers last year, but Mike Davis, as we said, was a nice compliment. Had 100 carries last year, 6 touchdowns, and he's really the workhorse here tonight.
Second down and 5. Spurrier handing off the chart. Coach Reeves there. Gamecocks will milk a little clock here. Play clock down to 3. Again, second and a long 5. They just barely get the play off. Davis between the tackles. Modest gain. And that'll set up a third down at about 3. And if Lafayette has any chance of getting back into this ball game, they're really going to need to stop. Is that another helmet on the ground? I don't. This game has to have set a record for most helmets coming ajar.
That doesn't fit in the stat sheet, unfortunately, but the Gamecock equipment manager, I think he's going to be busy this week getting some new snaps on those helmets. Maybe buckle them a little tighter.
Third down and 3. Under 4 minutes remaining now in this ball game. Big play right here. Smelly hands it off, and nothing doing. Davis is swallowed up by Brenton Burkhalter, the junior out of Baton Rouge.
Well, not much up there in the middle that time for the Gamecocks. Looked like they had one of the guards or tackles pulling from the left side to the right, but the tailback goes back to where the pulling guard or tackle had vacated. As you look at Beecher on the bench, hopefully he's not too shaken up.
Pretty good numbers for Tommy Beecher. And, you know, a lot of people, again, were expecting huge things out of Chris Smelly tonight, and not to take anything away from Smelly, but frankly, Tommy Beecher has had the better ball game so far.
Statistically, has 11-15, as you said, 137 for Beecher. Smelly, a good night as well, 10 for 14, 101 yards. Touchdown, he did throw the pick. Beecher had a couple of passes that should have been picked. Remember, earlier in the contest, didn't go, but still a good night for both the young quarterbacks, and raises questions, what's going to happen next week?
You know, certainly make sure to get all the inside information on the South Carolina Gamecocks during head coach Steve Spurrier's show Wednesdays at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. It's on CSS, your source for Gamecock football. I was going to say, certainly you'd like to have Blake Mitchell being able to start in your opening game, and he'll likely be the starter next week. But this is invaluable experience for both these young men, Beecher and Chris Smelly. And, some people will say, well, it's only Lafayette, what have you. The bottom line is you learn very little about a quarterback going against your own team in a scrimmage or practice. You've got to get out there in front of 80,000 fans. You've got to get out there against somebody else. And I think overall both of them have performed well tonight.
Both have played well, and you just have to wonder who's going to be number 2 if Blake Mitchell comes back and is number 1 against Georgia.
I tell you what, you go back in Steve Spurrier's past, it's not unlike him to play 3 quarterbacks in a season. I mean, he'll go with the hot hand, and at times if you make mistakes, he's been known to have a quick hook. Now, he hasn't had that luxury many times here at Carolina. He might have that now with 3 solid quarterbacks, and of course Garcia, the man waiting in the future, probably going to pick up a red shirt this year.
Even though Blake Mitchell is the number 1, as you said, Coach Spurrier has said all along that all 3 quarterbacks are pretty close anyway, so Blake Mitchell is the number 1 right now on the depth chart, but that may not mean anything, as you said, coming into a ball game. You may see all 3 in a contest before the season's over.
It is very possible, and you got to wonder, frankly, how much rust is going to be on Blake Mitchell next week. It'll be at Sanford Stadium, hostile environment. Blake Mitchell hadn't played a game since December of 2006. Oh, this is going to be a good punt for Suckup. Takes a tremendous bounce and finally rolls dead at the 22-yard line. So that will help the average for Ryan Suckup, already known as a great kicker. He just booted away a 58-yard punt with no return.
And good recognition there. Some pressure coming from the other side that may have been a planned play, the kind of the rugby punt down the field. No chance for the receiving team to get to it. You bounce it and hope for the good bounce, and it worked out well for the Gamecocks.
And that whole rugby punt style started when Lou Holtz was here, when they really didn't have a great kicking game. They kind of felt like they had to try something. And people kind of chuckled at it and said, what is this? The one thing about that punt is, number 1, it's extremely hard to field. More often than not, there's no return. So even though you might not get 50 yards in the air, a nice spiraling kick, the net is what you're looking for. And those rugby punts, more often than not, produce a great net. Modest gain there as Marquis Hall in on another tackle for the Gamecock defense. If you're Lafayette, you're going to have to show a sense of urgency here with 3 minutes and 16 seconds remaining. 2nd down, 10. Desimo going to run himself. Sheds a Nathan Pepper tackle and then goes down by Eric Norwood at the 25.
Not a designed run there, obviously, but he couldn't find anything downfield. Good coverage by the Gamecocks defensive secondary, and left-handed quarterback, he's looking to the near side a lot, but they set up 3 receivers a lot on the far side of the field.
Well, here we go, a 3rd down and 7 for Wise. Flares it out left side, and out of bounds at the 30, well shy of a 1st down is Nevels. So they're obviously going to go for it here. With 2:32 on the clock, it'll be 4th down and 2.
Again, the clock not their friend, and with this more in their style, at least 4th and short, more to their playbook to try to pick up the 1st down with a run as opposed to a pass. Most of the passes they've thrown have not been down the field. They've been a lot of those wide receiver screens.
Lafayette 1 of 3 on 4th down tonight. They're not actually going to punt, are they? This has to be the most shocking call of the game. I can't imagine what the rationale of this would be. It's 4th and 2. You're down 2 touchdowns. 2:32 on the clock, and now the whistle stops the play. I don't know if they were planning a fake there or what.
The play clock ran down.
And a delay of game.
35, 5 yards, previous spot.
Yeah, that doesn't make much sense at all.
I'm completely lost on that one.
Yeah.
I mean, Ricky Bussell has done one heck of a job coaching his team tonight. But for the life of me, I can't think of any scenario where that call would make sense.
Exactly. Now it's, well, I mean, you still have to go for it, you'd think, but they are going to go with the punt. Gamecocks came after it.
It's almost like waving the white flag at this point. They do get a good punt without a return as Munnerlyn lets it bounce behind him and roll dead at the 27. 48-yard punt with no return.
A chance for the Gamecocks to try to run out the clock if they can pick up a couple of 1st downs here. They've run the ball pretty well tonight. As we said, Mike Davis, 14 carries, 76 yards. Corey Boyd, 14 carries, 47 yards. He has a couple of touchdowns for South Carolina tonight. And South Carolina leading by that margin, a couple of touchdowns. They have thrown the ball effectively. They don't need to do that here. Beecher and Smelly both seeing action, have thrown the ball well, as we said. Beecher 11 out of 15, Smelly 10 out of 14. And now it'll be up probably to the running game to try to run this game out and put this one in the books. Gamecocks looked like they were going to make this one a laugher early. As you look at Coach Ricky Bustle of Louisiana Lafayette, did a great job to get his team back in the ballgame. Very patient on offense, did a great job running the football. They're just running out of gas.
So a first down and 10 from the 27-yard line. Patrick DeMarco, the freshman fullback out of Lake Brentley, Florida, in the game. Instead, it's Mike Davis on the carry and a nifty move to turn it outside, pick up extra yardage. He did go out of bounds, which is not exactly what you want here, but other than that, a fine run by Mike Davis, the junior out of Columbia, South Carolina, and he's really been the star of the night on the ground. 15 carries for 94 yards. His career high, incidentally, 125 yards. That came against Missouri a couple years ago in the Independence Bowl. So the Gamecocks will try to move the chains here some more, maybe get one more score. And another freshman into the game, Brian Maddox out of Anderson. They've got high hopes for him. This is the running back of the future. He gets the carry, and he's swallowed up in a hurry for a loss. Not much blocking there.
Not the way he wanted to start his career, but boy, what a high school career he had. Brian Maddox, the freshman, senior year. 18 touchdowns, 235 carries as a senior. He was a workhorse in high school, and as you said, could be the future for the Gamecocks on the ground.
Yeah, he ran for over 4,200 yards in his career at TL Hanna. And initially, the idea was, well, we might as well redshirt him. I mean, we've got Boyd Davis, but Coach Spurrier says he's just looked too good in fall practice to not play him. So they are not going to redshirt him, and they feel like he can pay some dividends. Chris Smelly under center. Matt Clements, another freshman into the game, that wide receiver. Here's Maddox. Little shake and bake move past midfield and into Lafayette territory.
Good blocking on the outside. He gets to the outside pretty quickly, which is what you want. You want to see him hitting the holes at full speed. In this case, a sweep around the right side. They did a good seal block on the inside, and he is able to pick up good yardage there. Did the wise thing. He thought for a moment about maybe heading towards the sideline, but of course you don't want to get knocked out of bounds here. You want to keep the clock running, and that's what he does for the Gamecocks as they try to run the clock out here with under a minute to play. Gamecocks up by a couple of touchdowns as they look to win their season opener in front of a capacity crowd here.
Third down and 3. Penalty flag on the play. Maddox, a lot of running room far side. He's got the marker and then some, but this ball likely come back as the penalties have really picked up here in this second half. Pretty clean first half, but 8 penalties in the game for Lafayette, 5 thus far for Carolina. This could be number 6.
A lot of holding calls against South Carolina. Remember a couple of drives ago, those were on wide receivers.
Please decline. It's on the play, the first down.
So it will be a first down for Carolina. And Maddox getting some work. Won't be the last time we see him. Smelly and Beecher both have played about 50-50 in this ball game. We've seen a ton of freshmen on both sides. And the Gamecocks certainly not showing everything. Got a lot of the playbook to save next week for Georgia. The clock ticks down. This will be the final play of the ball game. It's Maddox trying to turn the corner, and he's wrapped up behind the line for a loss, and that's your ball game. Gamecocks win it 28-14. Steve Spurrier, another opening win to start a season, as he has done so many times. He's only lost one opening game in his college career. 2 coaches shaking hands, including Ricky Bustle, and he's got to be proud of how his Raging Cajuns have performed tonight against a quality SEC opponent. Brad, it's been a pleasure working with you. Look forward to working with you all year long.
Enjoyed it, Mike, as well. A good ball game, entertaining contest, really, as we said, a little closer than maybe South Carolina fans were hoping for. But as you said, you got to be impressed with what Louisiana Lafayette did. And for South Carolina, conservative offensively with the play calling, but it was enough. The two quarterbacks got the experience, got the win, got a couple of good snaps under their belt.
Want to thank everybody that makes this possible. Tom Amon, our director, Gary McCullough, our producer, and the savvy veterans, Brian Bennett on stats and Eric the intern, our spotter. For everybody else in the truck, Mike Morgan saying so long from Columbia, where the final score, the Gamecocks win it 28-14.